Hello, we have a surprise. As you can see here, we have a surprise. And the surprise is, number one,
I'm drinking Zippo lighter fluid on screen for the fucking views, bro.
oh, that's exciting. Surprise number two.
Hi, guys.
It's a cute little owl.
We have a guest owl. The owl doesn't do very well answering questions, so just, be patient.
So he's like Joe Biden.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
That's what I do.
You know the thing. Surprise number 3, 4. Another surprise. Bam!
Oh, it's Clint Eastwood for real.
It's Cletus.
What? I love your work in Gran Torino. Fucking mwah.
That was a great one.
Good movie.
Yeah, they're all good movies, that's for sure. Good evening, everyone.
Man, you sound way different online versus in the theater.
I know, right? It's that adrenochrome that kind of euthanized, kind of gives me some more youth with my voice.
Euthanize.
Yeah.
I picked the wrong word there, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Hey,
I was going to say you sound so youthful.
Speaking of celebrities, right quick, has anybody heard of Tom Hanks' son, Chet Hanks, the guy who started White Boy Summer? Tom Hanks' son, Forrest Gump's son, is a white rapper.
Yeah, he's especially big on TikTok as well, I've heard.
I don't use TikTok. All I know is I heard this shit a couple months back, and I'm like, Dundada, the White Boy Summer. I'm like, okay, you're going to get your ass shot.
Dude, oh
What's
my
up,
God.
Thirsty Cole? John Rice says, the owl winked at me. Hold on.
Well, it's not going to wink anymore.
Lego Man said, my God, finally. I have been waiting 1 hour and 14 minutes. And the fact that you have a medical condition that makes you forget things in 10 minutes means that you actually had to take note of that and revisit it 7.5 times. So thank you.
Love you, Lego Man. I hope everything's working out for you. Definitely want to be filled in on what's going on. Hopefully everything's working out for you, man, for real. And like we said, if there's anything that we can do to be able to help support you any which way we can, we would definitely like to be able to try. So keep us informed.
Hell yeah, brother. I actually talked to him recently. We got cut off, but I talked to him. People are saying they're getting ads on our stream. That means that, well, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's monetized, but it means that YouTube is monetizing it.
You won't be monetized at the end of this stream, that's for sure.
I tend to agree, sadly.
Yeah, Dark, what was it? We did one stream where I did really well on not cursing and doing all this extra shit, and all of a sudden we were just demonetized after mentioning somebody's name. We're like, what happened? Like,
which
this
one?
This was like Care Bear episode number 3. Like, this was nothing to even write home about.
Dude, when we had Brandon Herrera on, it was like literally one of the most tame streams we have ever done. And the moment it was published, it was like demonetized. But they're publishing now, like the moment that I launch stream. Sorry, the moment that I launch the stream, it's publishing them right away. Like I can do a thumbnail right away. I don't know if something has changed in the platform or it's updated, or if I was doing something wrong before, maybe a mix of both. But apparently it can be monetized immediately, which I was not aware of. So let's see. Let's pull it up.
You need to go back and just turn that into like 3-4 different videos and just post them all differently and see if you can monetize those.
I literally started doing that today just so we can get back in the recommended videos and the
We are currently. I don't even want to say the word again. It is currently green. So where go?
It's glowing.
It's glowing green. Yeah.
Well,
And
let
pretty
us know
soon
when
this
it gets
chat is-
demonetized, because at that point, we're going to go ham on this bitch.
Just let me know when
Yeah.
you want the demonetization process to begin.
Hold up. Something's going on with Armitage, y'all, and then we'll go ahead and start.
This new society reminds me of Borg culture. You will be assimilated.
What the fuck?
Well, that's right. It's kind of insidious, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. What's going on with Armitage?
Dude. Armitage, are you serious about that diagnosis? He said that he got a cancer diagnosis today.
Prostate, lung, throat, brain.
Well, let's not guess.
I'm sorry.
And the state froze your money.
In the state for
Why did they do that, Armitage?
apparently he had shared previously that he was going through something. He's kind of like in transition, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Armitage, but dude, you're an OG, you're a member of our community, and obviously we would do anything to help you. Okay, all right, Armitage. Let us know what's going on, man. We're right here, brother. Yes, they said it's really late stage, lung and throat. They said a year if I'm really lucky. Are you fucking serious?
God damn, dude.
Holy shit, dude. Wow.
Well, Armitage, I wouldn't go with a first opinion on that. If you got any money at all, I'd maybe try to go to one of the bigger hospitals out there and see if you got any friends that know anybody there. Because if you just stay at a local hospital and you don't hustle at all, they'll put you in the care of somebody local, and they're probably not going to be able to fix that problem. I had a family member that survived stage 4 lung cancer, and I know that the initial stages, they said that it's absolutely terminal, but then once we moved him to a better hospital, we got a different outcome. Obviously, he's still alive. So,
damn.
Armitage, I have gallows humor. I have dark humor. And hopefully I can make you laugh on this. If it is legit, as in you get second, opinions and all that, we can start a GoFundMe to get hookers and cocaine.
Agreed.
We're going to go out with a fucking bang.
And treatment. And
yeah.
But, yeah, dude. Honestly, I'm opening up to anything that you need help with. Literally anything. Yeah, anything at all, man.
Let us know, man. We're definitely here for you, brother.
Yeah, you want to do a fundraiser? You want to do a freaking meet and greet where we all do a shooting together somewhere in the country? You fucking pick it, man, and we'll make it happen. And
well, Luminous, that's the interesting thing is if his bank account's been shut down by the state, we probably need to have him on as a guest. Yeah. And if you could bring your documents, we should make that the subject of one of these little podcasts. It has a humble audience, but it might gain some attention, especially if it was shut down frivolously. Although I kind of wonder. I'm always thinking about legal concerns, and I guess might as well just put it out here. Hope for the best. Send it to people. See who wants to come. Maybe take up the cause.
Well, it'd definitely be a good cause, considering the fact that if they froze your funds and the monetary damages have something to do with your medical treatments, That's a very big deal.
Yeah.
That should be lawsuit worthy right there.
Right.
Literally, if your funds are supposed to be going towards the preservation of your life and they froze your accounts, yeah, that. But it's the government. They can drag this out in freaking red tape as long as they want. But at the same time, this should be something that you should be able to get them hammered over the head with. And we know enough people, we've been in contact with enough people who've been former guests and stuff like that. We might be able to make a big enough stink where we can get this information passed out.
Yeah.
You know, it's a small percentage, but there's a chance because we've had contact with these people. So
Yeah. I mean, if we look at like every single YouTuber that we've had on and the size of their communities, and then YouTube, I just saw recently, also shows me the people with channels that sub to our channel. So the people with like the largest followings that, you know, have a channel that with mad subs, it shows me on there. So I could reach out to them, our subscribers that have channels, and we could spread this information and a fundraiser as far and wide, get it up on like CRS, reach out to Brandon Herrera, James Reeves, Cody Wilson, like all the big folks that we've had on. And honestly, like even like Nicholas Green Outdoors, like all those folks, man, whatever we can do to help, bro. We're here. Don't want to encroach, but also, you know, yeah, we just want to help.
Did he say why it got shut down? I know something was said towards it, but I didn't quite comprehend it.
He didn't say specifically, but maybe we could talk offline and figure it out.
Yeah,
Armitage
definitely.
says-
We should figure out the particulars of the story and then maybe promote it, especially if it's relevant to government overreach at a critical juncture, because you know the overall life expectancy has dropped recently faster than it did since it hasn't dropped this fast since World War II. That was in the Drudge report today. I still read that shit, even though it's really quite a subversive thing to look at these days.
Yeah. So he says it was less frivolous than it should have been. I didn't know there was an issue, so they made a federal case out of an outstanding bill. What?
So you've been accused of some sort of federal crime or something?
I guess not paying somebody back is a federal crime. In that case, I don't
know. It depends on who it is, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go ahead and pop one of these there for you, buddy. You guys know I like candy, and this is one of those Delta 8 gummies. So,
how many milligrams is one gummy?
50.
50? You should take 2.
Yeah, no, I'd be worthless on the street.
No, it'll be all good. We like to hear you sleep.
all of y'all here have heard me sleep.
Dude, I missed a podcast. We used to hear you snoring in the background, like, "Yo, Dark." Hey, hold on, I gotta call him right quick.
Yeah, is he with us? He's back with the living.
He's breathing. Breathing. We're good.
Toxic Patch Co. What's up, Zach? He hits the nail on the head. The GOV scum. What's up, Faith? All right, so let's get started with this. Well, let's get it started with this, and then let's get it started with this. We were having a conversation offline.
How about you eat that now? Because it'll take 45 minutes to go into effect.
Usually over an hour. I have slow digestion. Okay, so we were having a conversation offline, and we were made aware, you guys made me aware, and there's a little something more to that Whitmer story. So lay it on me.
So what I've heard is most of the conspirators for Governor Whitmer's kidnapping attempt last year were FBI informants. This has been widely circulated in multiple different sources on the mainstream media. Most significantly, Mr. Tucker Carlson has chosen to speak about it at length more than once. And apparently the only guy left holding a bag at the end of this shit show was a homeless fella. From what I understand, that was on Tucker's show. He's the one that made me aware of it. And I just sat back and I go, woo, what a mess. And, you can see that, the division in the country and the politicization of our intelligence community, police forces, and almost any other surface of influence, perhaps even the bill paying Mr. Armitage, I don't know if they know of your political predilections, but if you're listening to this show and enjoying it, I imagine you're probably not super, the feds wouldn't be a fan of you. So, I think that's a dangerous precedent when most of the conspirators for such a high profile case that was used to indict anyone affiliated with right-wing ideology, all of it was a bunch of informants. That's insane to me.
So
and they controlled all aspects of the planning, apparently. And this is the same accusation made about the Capitol riots on 6 January as well.
So out of the 6 men, 5 of them were FBI informants, or FBI, or like were they employed by the FBI?
I don't recall the exact number of people. Here, I've got one of the headlines left that I was looking at earlier. I should go read the article, shouldn't I? I've just been it was on my mind, and there are 6 men pictured here. Mm-hmm. I don't know which one of the 6. Honestly, we're trying to throw it to your audience.
I can tell which one looks like the homeless man.
I was going to say we should guess which one is the
Mr. Barry Croft. Is that the one you're thinking of?
Yeah, he looks
not that guy.
Oh, gosh. The one in the bottom right, he's got like one of those like ear things that I find to be completely grotesque.
Yeah, yep. But homeless in Portland is completely different than homeless anywhere else.
I can only imagine what John McAfee would end up saying to this story. He'd probably be like, typical
middle
federal behavior.
Bottom middle looks total Fed boy. Top middle looks,
that's a stereotype.
Of course it is. I mean,
I like the big lipped one that looks kind of questionably Mexican.
The one on the top right? Yeah.
That's the guy I wouldn't trust.
The bottom right.
Dead eyes.
Yeah. Bottom right has Chipman ears.
Guys, I mean, the bottom 2 look kind of healthy. They look like regular ass guys.
The top left, the top left definitely looks like his father is also his uncle.
Yeah, he's the sexiest of the bunch.
The top left, baby.
Yeah.
Uncle Daddy, come here.
Hey, can I implant a dangerous idea? I could probably DM it to one of you guys, but I'm sort of like wanting to let her rip. And I feel like let's really light this bonfire extra bright tonight. Somebody should go post the stream in 4chan and see what we get.
Oh, God.
On poll.
Well, so let's treat this as an open source.
Let's go full tilt, baby. Let's go all the way. We can talk about Havana syndrome and all the good shit. You guys even know what Havana syndrome is? I know some of y'all do because I was talking about it. Any of the audience know what Havana syndrome is without Googling it?
No, I do not.
That's a good question. Let's see how quickly they respond. What Havana syndrome is? Just from what you were saying, I would say let's do this. Let's treat it as an open source.
No, John Kimball. 4chan isn't going to report shit, and they might report it for the lulz, but they might also participate. And not a special poll. They might fucking like it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean. So I wouldn't want to do that personally. I would.
I'm hoping one of the audience does it. I don't want to do it either personally.
I would say let's treat it as an open source investigation. that we and these other 40 people all come in and rock out together.
Sometimes people just want to watch the world burn.
Well,
somebody watched that movie 12 years ago.
What movie was that from?
Club? Oh, that was
that's from The Dark Knight.
Yeah. Okay, it was The Dark Knight. Okay, yeah, that was Heath Ledger.
Oh, bro, Kimball. I don't know. I don't know about that, Kimball. I am not certain about that at all.
Yeah, I mean, even if you were to post it on poll specifically, there's going to be a lot of shills in here that are going to start talking about basically trying to bring down your entire channel.
Well, don't make its own thread. Go find a topic that's interesting, and then leak it there. Just put a link in there. People click it. Come by. You don't make it its own thing. But yes, you will totally get hostile attention. You will draw flack, and somebody will probably make a phone call to somebody at YouTube headquarters. But hey, man, I mean,
I'm telling you right now.
But really, it might be a good thing. A little chaos, a little bit of trouble might be a good thing, because
that's the last thing. Y'all know how this.
I just miss having Dugan around. It was fun having him. And he's the reason I'm here because he wanted to disagree with me.
I miss that gentleman also.
Yeah. Although I don't know. I didn't disagree with him on much. I guess I had a little bit of faith in Trump still.
We always
still do.
Always got respect for him. Never said a negative word about him. What up, Chuck Norris Gun Club? Jake the Great, I have not seen the uppers you posted on Discord. I'll have to take a look. Armitage, let's hop on voice chat later tonight and chat.
All right. So basically, this what is it? Greta Whitmer, trying to take her
Gretchen
Whitmer. Even better. Gretchen Whitmer apparently was at the plot to be kidnapped and held hostage or something along those lines. And out of the 6 people, 5 of the 6 were FBI informants and also the leaders of trying to get
have we confirmed that fact yet? I don't mean to interrupt, but I know I hadn't confirmed it myself. I haven't confirmed it either, but over the past couple weeks, I've heard little tidbits here and there. And then over the past 3 days, I believe I've heard more and more. And I've also seen some news reporting agencies, not the mainstream media, but actual journalists with integrity, talking about this and saying from the files and the documents that they've seen. So I'm not there reading the same stuff they are. I'm taking their word for it. But basically, this was an FBI scarecrow, essentially, set up to make it look like this is going to happen and was trying to get other people involved. And they could only find one homeless man because he wanted a sandwich and a beer. I'm just saying, give a homeless man a sandwich and a beer. He'll help you abduct any kind of congressman, senator, representative, you name it. Just saying.
Okay, so I got something interesting here. Okay, well, how's everyone feel about kidnapping, in quotes, a 37-year-old weightlifter and militia member named Adam Fox asked last July over an encrypted chat with a militia group called the Wolverine Watchmen. No one responded. The streets that summer had exploded, first with protesters demanding an end to policing after a Minneapolis police officer murdered Jiggity Fliggity in May, then with far-right opportunists, trailing racial justice activists, and anti-fascist groups. A sitting senator mused about sending in federal troops, and as a bitter election day drew near, fears of white nationalist terrorism mobilized and responded. Liberate Michigan from its governor's COVID-19 restrictions, and armed groups stormed the state capitol. It looked like something it didn't. Okay, hold on, let me see where it is. And then, when the Department of Justice announced it had foiled a deeply disturbing plot to kidnap the state's governor, Whitmer. At least one disaster appeared to have been averted. Fox and the other alleged extremists, as an assistant special agent in charge described them, were arrested and charged with conspiracy in connection with the plot. It's easy to look back now at Michigan in 2020 and see hints of insurrection to come in 2021. How seriously was the Justice Department?
Was she a Democrat?
Yes.
Oh, just like Jesse Smollett and the NASCAR driver with the noose hanging up. Okay, I believe you now.
Right.
Yeah, fuck y'all.
The thwarted alleged Michigan kidnapping plot seemed to offer an example of the government doing its job, responding to the threat, and a template for what future investigations should look like.
Like Fast and the Furious, like the FBI giving guns and explosive devices to people to be able to do shit like the Boston bombing. Oh, they didn't have the knowledge on how to make a pressure cooker bomb, but I'm also kind of false flag about all that because that military veteran that lost his leg, they were showing him as losing that leg in the Boston bombing. So all this shit is
basically
a psyop. All this is a psyop.
Well, that reminds me to point something out while we're on the psyop bit, because you're right. And that's a super important incident to talk about. And I happen to have this handy meme that has all the code names of these programs. And I know this isn't... Sorry, I know I totally interrupted you. Sorry.
No, yeah. I was just actually clearing my throat.
I know that the one I was thinking about is Smith-Munt. There it is. It's right here. Smith-Munt. That was a law that was put into effect after World War II to prevent the American populace from being propagandized. And obviously they got rid of it while Obama was president. And then we had in rapid succession Sandy Hook.
Yep.
And then,
before you go on, did you look at the FBI database for the date Sandy Hook happened?
I've heard I've seen it, and I have looked at it in the past, and it shows there are no homicides in that city for the year.
And oddly enough, Sandy Hook was
That's according to Mr. Wolfgang Halbig.
But it was also closed at the time. And literally, the school was closed. They was under renovations to be able to open up in like the next year or two.
Well,
so
can I respond to something in the comments before it goes too far?
Yeah, go for
Alex
it.
Besoso or Alex. Yeah. One thing about homeless in some of our more liberal cities where you have a lot of opiates and things is you'll notice they are lookouts for the pushers. And so if you are interrupting something that they want you to back off of, they'll use those guys to push you around. And this is part of the sort of synergy the street hustle has with dysfunctional schools and keeping the disposable street pawns staffed. Right. And checkpoint, that's a big one. That's kids, there will be a test on this next week, and this will be on the test. This is the Smith-Munt Modernization Act of 2012. That's something all of you guys need to be familiar with. And this is the chief thing you should remember. If you ever have a chance to talk to your elected officials or any of your friends or neighbors, ask them this question. How can we make an informed choice to elect a representative to act on our behalf if the well itself could have been poisoned with advanced, highly sophisticated government propaganda? Because, I mean, the fox is guarding the hen house. Look at the wars we were just in.
Why do you think we contracted Blackwater and other paramilitary groups to go in and do these dirty jobs? Because the American government's not allowed to. There's a whole bunch of stuff like that. And when it comes down to propaganda, which I'm completely agreeing with you, Sigma, the one thing I will say is I had 2 cousins in the Stoneman Douglas Parkland shooting. I was just down there over this weekend. I drove past freaking Stoneman Douglas like 6-7 times. And I'll give you a heads up. My cousins were there during all that. And when they walked the kids out, they could have walked them out in a safe zone. No, they purposely walked the kids past the people who were shot. And there were legitimate casualties during that. But they made sure they walked the kids past all the bodies going out out the high risk area versus taking them out the back of the school. My cousins still have on their phone the videos that they recorded when they were walking by the kids in the hallway. So I'm thinking that was just whatever it may be. You don't let a
Well, there's reason to believe that the Stoneman Douglas shooting is also suspicious.
Oh yeah, because the cops didn't go in, this and that.
And there's a lot of people claiming that the kid that was the FBI agent's son, that's become kind of a left-wing celebrity.
David Hogg.
Hogg.
Oh God.
They claim that they went to high school with him in California.
Yeah, no, my cousins don't even know who that kid is. He wasn't from that school. He has no affiliation with that school.
That's a very troubling detail.
What was it? Sandy Hook?
Sierra Hotel.
Lanza was his dad was supposed to be going in front of Supreme Court talking about all the frivolous spending and all the corruption inside of the military-industrial complex. If I'm not mistaken, it was something along those lines. And the week before the dad was supposed to testify, all of a sudden, his son did the whole Sandy Hook thing. Am I correct on that? It was either Sandy Hook or no, it wasn't. It had to be Sandy Hook. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Thank you, Mark Martin, for the $5.
Do I get a cut of that money?
Man, I barely get a cut of that money. It's funny when I go on like CRS's streams, everyone's like, you get Dark gets some of that money, right? Like, no. But thank you.
Well, if you're reading off the super chats, I'm just saying, I'm busting CRS's balls right now. But he needs a literate person to be able to read these things. I'm just saying you should be paid for your work.
You know what? You're right. Let
me just come on your streams and read off your super chats, dude. Just want 10%.
He's like, I just need glasses. I'm like,
no. No. I thought Florida education was bad. I love you, CRS. I'm busting your balls.
Yeah, we all love you.
So I kind of want to touch on one of the comments that Checkpoint made. He said they have spent 50 years perfecting subliminal programming. So are you guys aware of the McGraw-Hill textbook company?
Hold on really quickly, just before we go down this. But, and I actually, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Red Wings. I don't want to be rude.
No, it's all. So, anyways, if you're to go to college, like any college, you're basically bound and you're guaranteed to have at least one textbook from that specific company. Now, the interesting thing about it is McGraw-Hill actually has ties to Jeffrey Epstein because Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, was one of the founders of Maxwell Publishing, and Maxwell Publishing helped buy out McGraw-Hill in the 90s. And
that sounds familiar. Maxwell Publishing.
Yeah.
Well,
that's where it comes from.
Himself was one of Rupert Murdoch's competitors in the 80s before the Mossad suicided him off of his yacht in the Mediterranean called the Lady Ghislaine, which was named after his daughter, the one we've all come to know and love from her affiliation with the man that may or may not have killed himself.
Yeah.
Well, he already said the name, apparently, so we're screwed.
Well, just while we're on the topic, that McAfee guy pretty much put a drone on his island and tried to show he might still be alive, which is kind of interesting. Whole nother ball of wax that is.
Did you also know McAfee?
Thank you, brother.
Did you also know McAfee? Because I was watching a PKA YouTube
I knew him.
video. Dude was doing Flocka, the bath salt zombie drug in South Florida.
I wouldn't
He was
doubt
doing
it.
that
The guy was
shit,
kind of
too.
crazy, but you know what? He's still rather sane while he's crazy. So
Oh yeah, I'm not.
he's
I'm
a
not
responsible
knocking
drug user as far as I was concerned.
him. I'm not knocking him, but he was
Yeah.
definitely riding that razor's edge.
He knew how
Fuck
to
it.
do it. You know, he liked to play the piano for like just locals. Like he'd have people over that were doing work and they bring the kids and he'd sit there and play the piano and the dogs would be around. He was a very pleasant guy to be around.
I heard good things about him. I
miss
just
him.
know he was a big troll.
It's too bad what
and
happened to him.
I loved him trolling the internet and trolling all the
And
other
he was all
companies
over
out
this
there.
COVID thing. And, you know, say what you will about his hustles. He certainly seemed to be all over the right libertarian causes. And he was the consummate American. I consider him a national treasure.
Something real quick that was brought up in comments. Number one, Bacon, thank you for the 223. He says CRS wanted to come on for a few, by the way, Dark. Did he really? Or I didn't know you had direct contact with him. Let me know. Checkpoint said something interesting. This is for you, Red Wings. So you may be reading the textbook left to right, but your lizard brain may be reading something vertically, all while you think you're learning algebra.
That's an interesting comment because that actually, I don't know a lot about neuro-linguistic programming. However, I was talking to a very interesting individual who worked in the Hollywood scene, specifically when it comes to multimedia marketing. And, hopefully somebody, there's, for example, in marketing, if you say certain words, you can actually lead people to conclusions without actually saying the conclusions, right? And this is kind of what textbooks do subliminal messaging, specifically government textbooks as well. I
am just to throw this out there. I received a certificate and am a practitioner in neurolinguistic programming, just doing shit for sales. Basically influencing people by using hidden commands and particular speech patterns that make people behave a certain way from their
Can you give us an
programming.
example?
Sure. I'll give an example of...
Sell me this pen.
I mean, basically, think of it like this. When we are growing up, when we are going through our lives, we have like 3 moments that we're like... Can you guys still hear my audio okay?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're growing up, you have like 3... periods in your life where you have defining moments. It's usually around the ages of like 5, 9, and like 12 to 13. And whatever those 3 defining moments are, Dark is a Bible salesman. Those 3 defining moments essentially like create the version of you that is who you are today. And you go through things in your life, for an example, of people in authority talking to you. So let's use the example of your parents telling you to take out the trash. They say, take out the trash with a downswing, kind of with like small little pattern breakages or, small little pattern interrupters in between the words, okay? It's not like, take out the trash. It's like, take out the trash, okay? It's a command. Same thing where if your parents or a teacher or someone tells you, turn around now, it's always with a downswing in tone, and it's always with pattern interrupters throughout the sentence. So what they teach is that they teach you in sales to, when you're giving a presentation, you're having a conversation with someone is really what you're doing. So their brain goes on autopilot because it goes through the been there, done that kind of thing. No matter what this guy can tell me, I've been alive for X amount of years. I've seen it. I've done it. I got the T-shirt, whatever. So what they teach you to do is to have a pattern interrupter. So let's say you're having a conversation and you say, da, 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 and then if you choose to buy this pen, then what you would want to do is, so what your brain hears, your subconscious brain hears, buy this pen. That's it. Your conscious mind hears the whole conversation of, if you choose to, buy this pen, and you keep the conversation going.
Right, and you can also add to that by telling a story about the pen, to try to get some more, character
Emotion.
into it.
Yeah.
Right, emotion.
Yep, because logic makes you think, emotions make you act. So you draw some emotion to it, then you give an embedded command, and then you essentially ask 5 times for, really without even asking, but when you ask 5 times for something, it's like just going for the close, right? This is what literal. So I've spoken to one of them. Was lucky enough to have a client in my current professional world that I was working with that had psychological operations acknowledgments and certificates all over her wall, framed. And I've talked about this before. And I talked to her, and I was like, "So, what do you guys do?" And the first thing she made very clear was, "Well, we don't operate on United States soil at all. That's not allowed." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't mention anything about that. That's odd." But she had said essentially what it is you're influencing someone to do something. And this is kind of similar to what I posted in the comments earlier. You are influencing someone or a group of people to do something that you want them to do, but you're doing it through coaching them, through questions to make them self-discover something to drive an action out of them that you want, but you've done such a good job that by the time they do it, they think they want it. You're just influencing people to do things, and they think it's their idea.
Did she ever talk about the probabilities? Like people resist it a certain percentage of the time?
Sorry, say that again.
Did anybody talk about the probabilities with neuro-linguistic programming and whether or not they were able to resist it?
Not specifically. I mean, if
you're focusing on one target, yeah, you're going to be more well versed in the psyche of that person. But if you're just doing a blanket kind of outreach and trying to be able to grab anybody in this society, this country, this area, this group, it's easier just kind of throw out the bird seed and let them come in and then go from there. But if you're trying to focus on one specific target, you need to have more of your ducks in a row. One thing that I've been noticing, maybe it's just me, maybe it's bad editing that I've been seeing on YouTube, but do you remember the when they talked about influencing people, and they would show old movies and then show that one little snippet, like that quarter second where it says buy more candy bars in the middle of the movie and keeps on going. I've been noticing this shit on YouTube.
I've never seen that.
You've never seen it, but do you understand what I mean, though?
I would like to see an example of it, but I understand what you're describing.
Okay, well, it was basically, oh my God, I can't even.
Well, a good example is the movie with the guy with the sunglasses. Whenever he takes off the sunglasses, he sees.
Oh yeah, They Live.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. But what I'm saying is, they would literally show like a little snippet in the middle of watching a TV show, a commercial, this or that, to help influence people to be able to do things. I've been watching fucking YouTube on channels that have nothing to do with anything political, this or that. And oddly enough, I keep on seeing these little snippets like it was a bad editing job. And it just, for like 1/100th of a second, all of a sudden I see it, and I'm trying to play it back on YouTube and, 0.25 speed, and can't even lock in on it, but I can see it more clearly. I'm not even joking. I'm not a penoid type of person. I know there are conspiracies, and I know there's influences out there, but that is like the most basic bitch kind of fucking subliminal messaging, and they're doing it on YouTube. Like, they're doing some of the videos that I'm watching. One of the YouTubers was like, there was a a audio track that was laid into my video. Don't know how the hell it got on there, but you can hear this audio track, but you can't make out and you can't put it into a file to be able to actually hear the audio, but you can hear kind of certain words here or there. Some crazy shit's going on, man.
Well,
And,
let me add something really, really quick. I'm sorry, just really briefly. Red Wings. Well, I can go ahead if it's on what Light's talking about. Then
yeah. So in regards to that, if you think YouTube is bad, check out YouTube Kids. It's even worse. And the thing about it is, when it comes, it's
almost
terrible.
everything is Chinese on that shit.
Yep, 100%.
Yep.
And the thing about linguistic programming is, so for example, there's I think it's 4 or 5 different brain states. There's alpha, beta, theta, gamma, right? So when people are growing up between the ages of 5 to 12, say, they're mostly in the alpha state. So the alpha state is also synonymous with whenever you watch TV and you get really you kind of get into sort of immersed in it, almost like kind of like a trance state almost. That's the alpha state. And they actually found out that the alpha state is best when it comes to subliminal messages and neurolinguistic programming.
So I want to touch on one thing really quickly about NLP. Gertchop is saying that something along the lines of I didn't even say anything. Like what I said didn't have merit. So I just want to condense what I said to this. When you're listening to someone, your brain goes on autopilot, right? For the same reason that when you walk past somebody in a hallway, like at a job or at a place that you frequent, you say, "Hey, how are you?" "Good, good." Like no one is actually asking, "How are you? How have you been? Tell me about your life." Because then someone would say, "Well, I'm not good. I'm bad. Listen to all this," right? So it's just this casual conversation, been there, done that, right? So when people go on autopilot and you're having a conversation, you do a pattern interrupter, which is a very brief pause, okay? So if you're talking and having a conversation, you give a very brief pause, and then you say something with a downswing that is a command. Buy this pen. Very simple. Take out the trash, right? Very simple command with a downswing, another pause afterwards, and then you pick up the conversation. Their brain that was on autopilot, that was listening, their subconscious mind, all they heard was buy this pen or take out the trash, whatever it was, because they were programmed to take commands.
Okay, so if I
same as splicing like you said, like when you splice the popcorn, the soda, the candy, and the movie frames, and it just flickers through real quick, and you're like, man, I really could go for some popcorn and some soda and a candy bar right now.
So, Dark, what you're saying is all the single people out here, all they have to do is say with an authoritative manner, with a downward swing when they go to the bar, "Suck my..."
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could probably say, look, I'm not even asking for you to
How about
come
look
home with me.
at this picture?
Oh my God, I didn't even realize I was looking at this picture.
That's Seth Rich. And do you see the guy with all the arrows pointing at him?
Yeah.
That is one of the Awan brothers. Does anybody in the audience know who the Awan brothers are?
I don't
AWAN brothers. Awan brothers.
No.
They
Middle
were
Eastern?
2 Pakistani nationals that had access to most of the House and Senate computers. And they were spies. And a Marine caught them when they had left some of the House and Senate computers at one of their places of residence after they had left. And one of the Marines noticed, hey, these devices shouldn't be here. And apparently the guy was very social, Mr. Rich, and may have been pictured with him the night he was killed. And so not only were they doing hacker, computer penetration stuff, but they may have also killed Mr. Rich or been involved in that whole thing. Because Mr. Rich is the reason we got the Podesta emails. And very likely is the reason that Trump became president. Just throwing it out there. I saw this the other day, and it really really kicked me in the teeth because I was like, wow, I wish I'd seen this years ago. And I know this is completely unrelated to neurolinguistic programming, but I thought it would be a great test run to say, look at this picture and see how it worked.
Who is Mr. Rich?
Well, Mr. Rich is a former computer techie for the Democrat National Committee, worked for him during the 2016 election, and many believe him to be Assange's source of the Podesta emails.
Gotcha. Okay.
As well as other pieces of info. And Golf Kilo Tango 11, do you have a non-mainstream version of these events that would illustrate what I might have lost in all this time? He's just saying I believe too many mainstream stories, and I'm just kind of curious as to what I'm missing.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
One of the biggest things that pisses me off is the simple fact that, like I mentioned, everything that we see is now a psyops. Because back in the day, it used to be, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Oh, you're a crackpot. Oh, you believe in the oh. It didn't matter if it was Bigfoot, aliens, or government corruption. You all fit in the same crackpot line. Then all of a sudden, conspiracy theorists became mainstream. And now you're no longer being ashamed for it. But now, all of a sudden, you can get every single piece of legitimate truth coming to you and everybody around the world or this country. And the minute that you try to jump up on this pedestal to start fighting the good fight and start talking about, hey, this is what's going on, something else pops up. True or false, it doesn't matter. Because guess what? There's so many different fishing poles in the water, and there's so many things going on where they already have their prime directive. Everything's already moving, So
that's
one of those
how
where we're being overwhelmed with the amount of information that we have. Whenever we look at things like Rich, the guy who didn't kill himself, McAfee, you name anything that's going on in the past 5 years, it legitimately, in all honesty, is a psyop. Whether it's correct and 100% true or false, they're providing so much data and information that the people that are conservative, liberal, that are sitting back wanting to do good for this country and trying to help pass out information, we can't get anything out there because we're fighting amongst ourselves, or we're distracted looking this way. Oh, another cow. Oh, another cow. Another cow. And then on the other side, you have these people eating up freaking lies straight up, being, politicized and being pushed along this agenda and this narrative. And we're fighting amongst ourselves to find out all the truth and the data. Where can we go to present it?
Oh my God, we got Gray Note in the chat.
We have nowhere we can truly go and present it.
Sorry.
Facebook, MySpace, that's gone now. Or I guess it's still there. Anything that you want to be able to pass out to other people like-minded, there's always another story that's popping up and is going to distract you.
Shred Wizard. Sorry, that killed me. Xiao Biden. Xiao Biden. That is good.
That's crazy. Gray Note just popped up in the chat. That's interesting. I've never seen him here before.
Is he any relation to Brown Note?
I certainly hope not.
Sigma, what was that little video clip from?
Oh, it's just some funny clip where this guy's in a bar. I don't know what movie it's from, and this girl's reaching into his crotch area, and he just elbows her to the face.
I just finally noticed it, and I'm like,
dude,
oh, damn.
Clocks her. Straight up clocks her.
Hey, inappropriate touch, babe.
Yeah. Equal opportunity right there.
Equal less and equal rights, baby.
Oh, he's been here before, too.
Well, that's the beauty of a small podcast is we know our audience, right?
We certainly do. Sport Brain said, "Gray Note, love your work."
Hey,
Oh man.
all of our feds in the channel, put an F in the chat, man. We love you. F in the chat. Let us know.
He's known for a particular video. Well, for more than that, but
Was he on the casting couch or was he in the bang bus?
no, I don't even want to say it because it's just got so much drama connected to it, man. It's
Come on, what is the video?
It's connected with it's connected with freedom, and I don't even want to go there. I don't have drama with anyone. I'm neutral. All right. All right. Moving along. About the doxing. Well, I mean, you didn't really dox him because Homeboy put out all of his information like on his own. But we're getting sidetracked. So
Dark wanted to say all these soy boys make for great organic compost.
That they do, which we were going to discuss soil.
Hey, have you guys ever thought about going to a different video provider like Rumble or one of these other ones?
Yeah, we thought about it would be a good way to describe it.
We should go on ahead and start concurrently streaming on all of them so that when YouTube inevitably does pull the rug out from under you, you're already ready. Everybody knows where to go.
Do you understand what it feels like to be complacent and lazy?
Yeah. You remember when it took me 4 months to change the
Well, we could make it into a contest to see how to end the stream in style, figure out the best way to get ourselves banned.
Let's all get on a list.
Oh, boy.
Let's get on
I think we're already all on a list. That's what the fusion centers are for. It's tracking little bits of chatter like these.
No, I'm not on the list. I'm not.
I did find out that I am literally on a federal watch list. And I had no idea until I was with a couple people and we joking around. I brought this up before, but whatever. I've set my information up. Soil Boys. That's a good one. I will say that's a good one. I've set my information up to where, if somebody finds my info, the address they find is not mine. The job they find, I'm not currently employed there. The car they find, I'm not driving, and all that. I have to schedule picking up my mail twice a month. Okay.
A lot of politicians put their houses and cars in trusts so that it's very difficult to pin them to them.
I feel bad for the guy that you sold your last vehicle to because he got drawn down by the feds.
Yeah, felony stop.
Did that actually happen?
No, that was just satire.
It's
I was about to say, felony stop would imply they want you for something.
Yeah. No, it's a stupid watch list that literally means nothing. I had to literally search online to figure out what it is, and it's a watch list that means.
Again, MT, we're on a private sector watch list.
Yeah, it's
YouTube. People can watch us. We're on a list. You can click the link.
That's probably why. It's because of this GD facial recognition that's on this shit. But no, it's a watch list to where I don't think I'm doxing myself to say it. So whatever. It's a watch list.
He's right. They do keep a list of people that are pro-America.
They absolutely do, and they're probably not going to publish that shit. Not until one day when they're passing it out to your neighbors.
I'm not pro-America. I'm pro.
This will put me on a watch list. Let's just take a look at this article. We've got this one. Two dads are better than one.
Just so I can get this out real quick. Sorry, real quick. It is a watch list to where I cannot win any government contracts. So if I were to be doing something like bidding on a job, or if I were like, what's that movie with where they're selling guns to the government? If I were to, be selling guns to the U.S. Army, I could not win the bid because of that watch list.
But what if it was a $2,000 hammer, not a $1,500 hammer?
So
I mean, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Two dads are better than one. This is Northern Queensland. It's a puff piece about 2 gay guys. And then that was dated 14 July 2010. It's pretty soon. Queensland boys horror raised by global pedophile ring. That was 2013. Same photograph. Of course, unredacted.
Hold on.
Just
from
saying,
the same source?
Plenty of people are on different lists. There's a list for everyone. Some are for very bad people. And they belong there. Others are just...
That's from the same media outlet?
No, but they're talking about the same people. This is Far North Queensland, a website of some sort that does news. And then Queensland, and you can tell the kids' pictures unredacted. In this one, I have to say, the scrunched shoulders, intimidation. I don't like the body language there. I
don't like the guy on the right either. Zoom in.
I don't like any of them.
The guy on the left, that smile is creepy, bro.
Mambla, it's not the Marlon Brando lookalike association. It's the Man Boy Love Association. Those nasty pieces of shit.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
Hey, I'll put it like this. If you're a high-ranking pedophile and you provide these kids to these politicians...
Well, that'll put you on a watch list.
No, you don't go on a watch list. How long did it take for the Steen of Ep to finally get brought front and center? And we're not talking about the Clintons or anybody else he's associated with. And there's no investigations. I mean, it's all good.
Yeah, but how much time, energy, money, and resources went into shielding and protecting the Steen of the Eps?
I would love to ask. I would love to ask the taxpayers, but no, we funded it, but we have no idea how much money went into it because he had his own private island and private planes. He was connected with the bankers, with Saudi Arabia.
Well, I know who funded him.
Anyone.
People do know who funded Epstein. The name's Wexner. He owns the house that Epstein lived in Saudi, New York. He owns Victoria's Secret. So the next time you're in a shopping mall and you walk by a Victoria's Secret location, look there, look at the lingerie, and go, Harvey Wexner bankrolled Mr. Epstein and gave him access to the largest private residence in the city of New York.
Oh, you said it.
Which was completely wired for sound and audio. It was a blackmail Walmart. They produced
kind of like how Nixon
Walmart
used to do back in the day.
They mass-produced blackmail there,
like Nixon used to do back in the day, and how the FBI used to do back in the day before they got their balls cut, and then they had to find a new organization, hence the CIA, to be able to do the same shit. You know about what the FBI used to do, right? Politicians, government officials, all the way to movie stars, they would be wiretapped, everything to get dirt on them so they wouldn't fight the status quo. And who was it? Not J. Edgar Hoover. Who was in charge of the FBI? The crossdresser.
J. Edgar Hoover.
Oh, it was J.
Although at this point, due to the prevailing winds of bullshit, I have become quite adept at surfing. The consistent and mainstream nature of the smears levied at J. Edgar Hoover kind of make me like the guy. Because the good Lord, Hollywood hated him. Everybody hated J. Edgar. And I have to say, maybe he was up to something good after all. Because usually, if those people hate you, I end up liking you. And I know one thing about Mr. McAfee.
But he was just getting dirt on everybody so we could keep his funding and make sure he didn't lose his place in power, and always had, the word at the end of the day. Well, he'd say, you better shut the fuck up because I'll put out them tapes.
But where did all the information and tapes go?
Yeah, and we don't have a lot of that. Well, Alex Bestoso, would you care to explain more about McAfee's racketeering? I'd like to hear. your thoughts on that. And
what was that?
With
Belize or something?
Well, I'm just curious what he's going to get into. But I'll say this about Hoover. Some of the, if you're going to run an organization like that, blackmail, counter blackmail, those are the ailerons of espionage.
Right.
But
And
he didn't do anything, and he didn't put out any of the bad
he
people
pissed
on
off
blast.
a lot of people I consider subversive. I think I would prefer J. Edgar Hoover over the current FBI head. Absolutely. If we could bring him back and put him install him, at least you'd know what you're dealing with. The man had no life.
Nobody
he did
knew.
One thing, and he worked there.
Nobody knew until everybody finally
Goodness
came
rest.
together and they had a government intervention.
I mean, I'm no great
able
fan
to
of
reduce
feds. I
the,
like the two ones I like. Just for funsies, I say J. Edgar
Walker,
Hoover,
Texas Ranger,
Dark and CRS. Sorry.
and Garrison from Memphis, Tennessee. He was the one that broke the pedo blackmail rings. Gunderson. He died in 2012. Ed Gunderson.
Yeah, the guy that was, didn't he research the Franklin scandal?
Well, yeah, he was all over the sexual blackmail stuff. He was well known in the city, and a very quiet guy, and he specialized in that stuff. And that is dangerous stuff. He stood up for a Green Beret who was accused of murdering, I think his family is, and he said the guy was set up. And guys, I shit you not, there's multiple sides to this. Like we tend to oversimplify the factions that are in the government. There are multiple factions. If there were not factions fighting each other, I don't think somebody like Trump would have existed. Like, people say Russian domestic politics is like a dogfight underneath a rug. Well, our politics is starting to look every bit as covert, every bit as opaque, and every bit as nasty.
I look at it like this. The politicians, no matter where you are and what branch, you have the people, whether Democrat, Republican, that are literally on the same side, and there's somebody above pulling all the strings. And then you have the people underneath who don't know what's going on, aren't included in on the bigger picture, or the bigger picture that the other ones know, but there's still somebody at the top pulling the strings.
Wait.
Whether it's one person or a group of people, different interest groups.
That's right, Bingo. There's a comment that got put up here. The McAfee countdown. I'm paying attention to it.
Yeah.
Did anybody hear that condo?
As well.
Did anybody?
I don't know what's in it. I'm paying attention.
Condo that collapsed in Miami.
They claim you had something to do with that, but
had the server McAfee was supposed to be launching all that from.
No. So the thing about it is, the main understanding that most people subscribe to is that the information is actually on the blockchain and it's not centralized, and thus not tied to any single location in particular. So, actually, in regards to the apartment, though, to kind of answer the question, there was actually a document that showed one of the guy's last name was Epstein that owned a condo in that apartment. I don't know if he was linked to, who, the guy that didn't kill himself, but that's just something to think about.
Hey, can I ask Alex something? Hey, which documentary are you talking about? I'm just kind of curious as the one that highlights his racketeering, because I've watched a few at this point. I'm kind of curious if there's one I haven't seen.
Yeah, I'd be curious.
Larry McDonald getting shot down by the right. Oh yes, you're right, Martin. That's an interesting one. I can't remember all the details, but that was the fact that guy was on board the aircraft. And a lot of people wonder if people survived the downing of the aircraft. There were a lot of shoes that apparently turned up, but not a lot of bodies. And there's always been quite a lot of talk about that Korean Airlines flight. And I think the pilots did the intercept. There was a bit of an irregularity with their intercept protocol. It's been years since I read an account of Korean Airlines 007.
What was that Malaysian airliner that disappeared?
Actually, that's 93. The one that disappeared in the Indian Ocean. The other one was shot down by a surface-to-air system in the Ukraine.
No, I know that one.
That year, I flew Malaysian Airlines after both those airplanes had gone down. And I remember I was getting on the plane. I was basically turning purple. I had like maybe a light case of dysentery. I had lost about 20 pounds of weight in Central Asia. And I pour myself into the thing, into the head of the aircraft, and I'm basically just shitting myself half to death there. And the mom is looking at me like I've got Ebola, and I'm like, dude, I just got the shits, man. But the thing with the Malaysian Airlines flight, the 93, there were a lot of intellectual property holders for a semiconductor company,
a semiconductor and a guidance system.
Right, and they all had to be on the same plane. And I have heard that there are ways of hacking an airliner, and that there are overrides for the guidance system on some of them. I don't know how that works, and it's really just me regurgitating things I've heard.
Do you remember the text message that the person sent out after the airliner was reported to already be downed, and the guy texted off his iPhone or some shit, and basically, dude, this was legit. He texted out saying, hey, we're landing, on a military base or something like that. And that was the last text that ever came out. And the day before was the report of the plane crash or something like that. But this was one of the people that were on the plane. Look it up. I'm not even bullshitting you. It was one of those
already got like three things to hear. Like, Gray Note asks, how many have looked into the Federal Reserve trying to bear the Chinese with state-sponsored crypto? Scores that would determine exchange rate for USD to digital dollar.
Well, the Federal Reserve doesn't mean shit for the U.S. They control anything, any country that the European Union or the U.S. gets involved in. So I would assume the people who started the Federal Reserve are also the same people that helped China start off, after World War II.
It is certainly a strange array of abilities from the different parties that seem to be at odds with one another.
But this is exactly what I was talking about on all of this being a psyop. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. At the end of the day, when the media is controlled and your voice is being muddled and whatever prime directive is being pushed, all we're doing here is sitting back and just kicking our feet in the water, splashing. Yay! End of the day, we're not achieving anything. The only thing that we truly need to be able to try to achieve is some type of self-sufficiency and some type of community awareness and trying to bring people together. And unless you're doing that in person, physical outreach,
well, that's why I proposed those little barbecue meetings that you guys could get into, perhaps. But I agree with Alex thinking that crypto is a bit of a con because, if you believe what Snowden told us and what McAfee himself would be happy to tell you, that your phone is not a private device, and most users of crypto are going to be using their phones to do it, and they're going to be communicating those keys and hashes over compromised comms lines. It's entirely possible. This is the biggest problem with the destruction of a banking system, is if we all were to be using crypto and somebody stole my money today or tonight while I'm busy doing stuff, okay? I have no recourse. No one is ultimately responsible to safeguard that money except for me. And with a bank, you've got about 90 days to go and raise a shit fit when half of your net worth walks out, or half of your bank account walks out the door. And then furthermore, if we were all the holders of our keys to our bank and our money, I think armed robbery would take new levels of coercion, because if you gained physical control of a person that had $1 billion in their crypto account, you could coerce them to transfer that money to you. And that divides. And then furthermore, the energy consumption requirement to create a nunce, which is a series of numbers that the crypto coin is derived from, that is a highly energy intensive exercise. And I never really voiced my opinions about it too much. I thought the energy consumption problem alone was a major concern strategically for the whole thing. But I like physical currency. Call me old fashioned.
Hey, Sigma, what if we were to screw the blockchain, screw cryptocurrency? What if we were to do something? Even twins don't have the same genetic makeup. They're very close, but
I don't think you want to have your genetic code out there in public either. These people that go to 23andMe, they've put themselves on not only an organ donor list against their will, because guess what? If I'm a billionaire,
Sigma,
if I'm a billionaire,
in the United States, were you born in the United States?
Yeah.
They have your genetic code on file.
All right, stop though. Let's finish this.
Okay.
If I'm a billionaire and I gain access to the genetic record, okay? And let's say I don't want to take immunosuppressant drugs after I get my new liver, okay? And I'm looking for a genetically compatible donor, and I get to look through a few billion records. I could pick out of that menu who guys in a panel van are going to go and abduct and kill for his organs.
What do you think?
And then beyond that,
it's already happening.
Well, I know. I'm just telling people when they go and do this 23andMe shit, they're putting themselves on a menu. Then another one is once you've got a full genetic profile of a population, and I've heard the 23andMe guys sold this shit to the Chinese government. Now, a lot of people take it for granted they already got everything. You had the Office of Personnel Management hack, which some people say a 15-year-old did. I think it's Ministry of State Security or whatever they call the Chinese CIA that did it. And they, we just hear whatever cover story they decide to stick on this thing. It's like pin the tail on the donkey. It's so fucking stupid, these cover stories. But they got our genetic profile, and presuming that technology continues to advance in the biological warfare realm, you'll have tailor-made viruses. And look at this.
They've
NIH.
already talked about doing this years ago on going directly after Islamic people using genetically modified.
Do you know what Marjorie Taylor Greene said on one of her podcasts with Steve Bannon? She was talking about the same thing that we were talking about in regards to 23andMe and also, Ancestry.com. She was saying that the Chinese government obviously had a lot of that information. However, she also said, she made the claim that information was also linked to the karate cold in Wuhan, China. So, for example, she also made the claim as well that the Chinese were the reason why they're doing the whole genome tracking is because they can bioengineer different viruses to track different cultural groups that they want to possibly, eradicate.
The U.S. has already been doing this. They have white papers on the internet. You can see this stuff. I mean, literally, they've done it. And under Geneva Convention, they're not allowed to test biological weapons, chemical weapons on any other country other than their own populace. So we've already been testing things in our own country. Look at San Francisco.
Is that true? Hold on. Does it actually say that in the Geneva Convention?
Yeah, literally it does.
On their own populace.
You're not allowed to use these weapons against other countries, but you're allowed to test for the efficacy rates in your own country.
I'm not sure about that.
How come they can't use tear gas on Antifa and BLM and shit like that?
No, they can use that.
Can I follow up this genetic thing? Donkey Hammer said, if you put your genetic code out there, you have zero safety. Well, that presumes the development of these boutique biological weapons. And really, let's say Zero or Donkey Hammer, you're a knowledgeable guy. You've got some important information somebody wants to get rid of and get rid of you. You're embedded in a village of 1,000 people I have limited access to. I could create a virus that specifically targets you. and then spread that through the village. And, assuming there's a development of this technology, which I don't know about, they can kill you and nobody else. It's a surgical strike. And actually, for like the State Department, when a person like Hillary Clinton or the Secretary of State or a high level official goes to Russia or whatever, and they leave an apartment, there's a cleanup crew that comes in after them that sanitizes the room so that they minimize the amount of genetic material that remains, probably because they're already concerned about that potential vector of attack.
When they clean out the shitters on Air Force One, it's considered classified material, and they burn it.
Dude,
about the PCR, Gray Note, the guy that invented the PCR, that got a Nobel Peace Prize for it, is named Kay Mullis. And he has since people have had an entire year or two to really hyper focus on his testing protocols, since we've been subjected to it. They, he's very frank about how he wants his test used. And he straight up says, if you were to type in Kay Mullis on Fauci, he straight up says Fauci knows nothing about electron microscopy, and he's a bureaucrat. He's a paper pusher. And this Marine guy I know that's local to my area, we were talking about it, and this guy rarely ever talks. I always thought he hated me, but anyway, he was talking to me about Fauci. He said, well, the guy's a draft dodger. And that's how he went into public service to begin with. And you see his books everywhere. I've been into many law offices due to my nice little job I've got. And I always notice Fauci's name on the wall these days because, there's a lot of textbooks out there, reference books that have his name on it because he assisted in writing them. And I think that he's an expression of a corrupt, incompetent bureaucrat. And these pharmaceutical companies that killed a great number of people, specifically the Sackler family of the northeastern United States, which created our OxyContin crisis I've watched people die from that.
Hey, opioid crisis in Florida. I know about it. I grew up during
if you're an American,
the pill
you've got
endemic.
it. So if you want to think about a declared war against Americans, and this is something that'll put you on a watch list, if you look at all the different behaviors, surface points, and casualty-producing events, you could already say there's an asymmetric war already declared on the American populace. The Democrats are part of it. They believe they can replace this population with a new population and pit them against what remains the old population so that they can get the expression of foreign policy out of us that's desired. Because, we've got a fucking badass army. It's an amazing machine, but one of the things that has consistently kind of put a leash on that massive, dangerous little dog we have is the fact that there is American morality ultimately attached to the back end of this thing. And you notice in the southern parts of the country and the rural areas, there's no wealth at all. There's plenty of drugs, tons of deviant behavior, and you got scalpers out there getting rid of all the pretty women to take them down to Los Angeles, where I've seen the play. They got these guys in the bars that are always wanting to take pictures of every good looking girl when she's an ingenue, which is a kind of a French word for young woman. But a young woman in the prime of her life is a very attractive person, but also not very smart. And they influence her to, get out of her the whole sexual thing. This place is very much invaded. They're suppressing the breeding rates. They don't want anybody to produce. They're going to win this thing, not by force of arms, but by elimination of resistance, demoralization, propaganda, all of it. This place is very much engaged in a form of warfare.
Now, Sigma, we already know that we have multiple forms of warfare in our own country against us
goddamn bacon. It's terrible.
And against other countries. Do you remember the whole chemtrail, weather modification, HARP, all these other things? Literally said, military contracts saying we're using this to manipulate the weather.
The term you're looking for, the academic term for chemtrails, is upper aerosol injection. And the former CIA director, Brennan, talked about that. condensation trails are created naturally.
Contrails
By aircraft transiting certain altitudes under certain humidity and barometric pressure conditions.
No,
nobody's. But I want to just throw that out there for the audience's benefit. Okay, don't get those two tripped up, because I was talking to a guy who's part of an avionics company, and I was having a couple beers with him, and we got off into the weeds with conspiracy stuff. And the guy has been inundated so much with like the kind of shallow end of the curve where people are trying to play with these ideas, but they're, doing it very awkwardly. The guy can't even listen to you talk without getting visibly frustrated. So that's why I threw it out there. We need to know contrails are real.
Yes.
Chemtrails, 100%. Injecting things into the atmosphere is also real.
Yep.
And one of the terms would be upper aerosol injection. And you can go and find a video of a CIA director who has lied under oath, mind you. So do take CIA agents and personnel's word with a little iodine.
But you've also heard and you've seen the things that they were talking about with like HARP, and in conjunction with chemtrails to be able to bounce off the upper ionosphere, to be able to manipulate weather.
They do that with shortwave radios back in the day. They could bounce those off.
What's to say that this whole climate change debacle that we're going through, anytime that we get adverse weather, this is climate change.
Well, okay, let's go to the next level, which would be the Havana syndrome that I was asking about earlier.
Okay, yeah, I'm curious about that. Havana
syndrome. So does anybody in the audience know what Havana syndrome is?
We didn't get any
sickness that happened in Cuba with all of these embassy personnel that were dropping sick and
I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember.
And so some people have thought that it was a directed energy weapon that was deployed from orbit, and you just target people. You're basically sitting next to a wiretap tracking beacon, and it's a very easy way to.
They were being
produce a very traceless attack on people. And if you're not wanting to engage people in a discussion or a bureaucratic tug of war, I always thought it wasn't foreign. I thought it was domestic. Due to the increasing heat of the Civil War thing we've got going on, which is absolutely expressed in politics. Just look at the Pentagon's personnel. Look at the nature of the discussion around the Capitol riots. And these set up investigations from the FBI, can you trust anything at this point? Do you really think you've got any civil rights? And then look, we're the champions of freedom, but then we've assisted the British in locking away this Julian Assange guy for the last 10 years. And I get it. He's leaked all sorts of damaging information against U.S. foreign policy, and Pompeo at least articulated that he decided that Mr. Assange was a member of a non-governmental hostile foreign intelligence service, which is at least descriptive and can begin a discussion on it. Though I would like to see that discussion publicly, and that's why Snowden won't come back either. Is because he knows he isn't going to get a fair trial.
Right, but this all goes back to exactly what I was saying, Sigma.
But at this point, just like the new ATF guy, all this stuff is a representative of the bureaucratic class and our elected class and our financial elite becoming completely divorced from their population that they were extracted from mostly. And they find it easier to replace us. And they really, when people say I've got nothing to hide, hold on. This is a very complicated array. I'm building a watch here of points that are meant to be projected to an audience, a specific audience actually. So the reason you do have something to hide, if you're an average person that is abiding by the law in good faith, is if people can observe your life, they can assess your potential threat vector, your whole potential threat to them, and they can obsess you with contempt. They can look at you and you're no longer interesting or mysterious to them. and then you are merely something to be influenced that they have quantified. That
Or
is a
eliminated.
terrible position to be in as far as a negotiation is concerned. And every 4 years and every 2 to 4 years, we have a big renegotiation with our federal government in theory, and that has been corrupted. If you think that this election was fair, you're naive.
Well, I can't
And
even say that
the trust is broken. And not only was it broken by the Mossad engaged in the 9/11 attacks, which I'm pretty sure there's a lot of guys from Army War College, a lot of other places have talked about this now. It took too long to get out. And then we've had so many other mysterious incidents. And now we've got this Smith-Mundt Modernization Act that allows our federal government, which seems to be under the influence of a rather unruly client state, able to not only spy on us without any safeguards. Do you really think the FISA court has any control? You know, the guy that came up with the FISA court, the event that resulted in it was the 1972 Church Commission. Frank Church died immediately after leaving Congress. This is how we know about MK Ultra. This is how we know about so many different things. The intelligence community of the United States, and that is the FBI, CIA, DHS, the whole lot of them, complete reformatting is what it is needed here. These people have run amok. You can't tell where their influence ends and the actual expression of civic will begins. And that is a dangerous place.
Because
and that is where we are.
All they need is to
take one look at these people.
Of safety, borrow your freedoms.
And then think about this. The head of FBI counterintelligence 20 years ago, well, a little bit over 20 years ago now, was a guy named Hansen. And he was a spy. You can't make this shit up. What the fuck is going on with these people? How do you fuck up that bad? And then you got this latest crop. They're clicked up with the Democrats. And I've always heard from, and I didn't know this, but when I was growing up, when I was a kid, my grandparents had a lot of knowledge. They knew all about the Mena, Arkansas shit. I used to hear about that when I was a kid, and they'd just constantly mutter about Bill Clinton and all the things he was doing, and all the thousands of Americans that are going to die because he's transferring tech to the Chinese. But the bit is that it looks like Hillary Clinton left all of those secrets, those SAPs, on a park bench, internet speaking wise, and it was a buffet for whoever she had sold them to, and it was a dead drop on the internet. Is what that was in that bathroom of that little business or wherever her server was. And this Whitmer stuff, that's just cheap Keystone Cop shit. Come on, how lazy can you get?
So
go find a real.
That's
cop.
actually that's so funny. You just commented on this. I was going to say really quickly. That's actually what we started this whole conversation with. Sorry, go ahead, Light.
One thing I'm curious about. I know Hillary Clinton, her family was bigger than Bill Clinton, from what I've gathered. But how is it the Clintons have so much influence? What are their connections with
they
the
cleaned all the
banking?
money derived from the cocaine smuggling. So
Oh,
when all
for
the
the CIA.
drugs were in there, when Bill Clinton was the governor of Arkansas, his signature is on a lot of the documents that cleans that money. So they are the ones that controlled the piggy bank for the CIA. And when you look at what happened in Benghazi and Libya, in my opinion, I believe that Ambassador Stevens was purposely liquidated so that they could take Muammar Gaddafi's rather impressive weapons stockpile and army and take those weapons and put them in the hands of ISIS, a Sunni extremist group, and then go attack Syria.
Hey, speaking of Gaddafi, you know, he was literally the richest person in Africa, one of the richest people in the world, did not want to jump onto any kind of
central banking.
Yep.
Right.
And he also had something which would be considered like the 8th, 9th, or 10th world wonder, the largest underground lake or river in the world, basically built to be able to provide water all throughout Africa. Gaddafi was planning on
Yeah, he wanted to make a
uniting
gold
Africa.
dinar, a whole bunch of stuff.
Right,
Yes.
but he was also planning on becoming the president of Africa and uniting
the
Africa.
African Union.
And
He had a lot of aspirations, and he actually did play ball about the whole weapons of mass destruction control thing.
right,
And-
but if you look at what's going on in Africa with these warlords and shit, yes, they want to say crimes against humanity and shit like that. From the shit that I've read and the shit that was told to me, under the cuff with people when I was in the Navy and people that I knew back then, basically it was one of those where he didn't want to get on a centralized banking scheme. He didn't want to play ball with the U.S. He wanted to be his own independent country and make Africa its own independent country and unite it. If you united Africa, how much is everybody else in the world going to suffer? Russia, China, the U.S.
I don't think he ever
lithium.
had a realistic chance of doing that, even if he wasn't interfered with.
I'm not going to say he did, but, this was one of his goals.
And one of the things he did to advertise his services to the Europeans, to kind of explain to them why they might not want to remove him, is he said, hey, I'm your border control. So as long as I am here, the militias that I prop up, I pay every single person in this country $60,000 when they get married or something like that. He had paid everybody off in the country, and he had armed them to the teeth, his faction especially, and he controlled the after he died, the migration into Europe from Africa became completely unfettered.
Isn't that why France ended up having a whole bunch of riots and Great Britain
had
a whole bunch of influence or influx of Muslims destroying their country?
Well, I know that the French have had their mosques being burned down at an incredible rate. I mean, their churches burned down at an incredible rate. And, Notre Dame, what?
I mean, it all ties into replacement migration. See, because if he didn't want to play ball with the UN or the US for that matter, he was definitely going. So actually, if you go on the UN's website, you can actually find documents detailing how specifically the European Union is going to have an influx of migrants in order to reach the same economic potential that it currently has. So by getting rid of this individual in question, it actually serves as a way to basically destroy the cultural values within the European Union, which would make it easier to control as well.
Right.
Yeah,
and that was also during the time frame when the U.S. and other countries were saying, "Oh, we can't be discriminatory towards Muslims," and then they let an influx of Muslims, and not the good ones. There's probably some good ones that came over, but more of the radicalized ones came over.
The Norwegian government literally has to fund classes. I'm not saying all Muslim migrants are bad. However,
no, not at all.
Not at all, right. But however, Norway in particular actually had to fund its own anti-rape class where they set gentlemen down in a classroom and say, okay, if a woman says hi to you, don't do that, basically. In fact, you can look it up. It's on the BBC YouTube channel.
But oddly enough, they didn't say anything about the goats in that country.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty Islamophobic, right? Leave that out, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
It's hurtful.
It's very hurtful. You got to basically edit the curriculum now.
Well, I just want to throw this out. There was these videos that were linked about this Mark Patak guy at the Southern Poverty Law Center, and the guy's keeping a tally on his wall of
who's Mark
white
Patak?
white non-Hispanic population of the United States. He keeps this.
Who's this Mark Patak?
He's a Southern Poverty Law Center guy, and this has been well documented many times, and they keep up with the Europeans as well. They are purposefully engaging in ethnic replacement migration, and they are meeting the qualifiers for the UN's definition of genocide. Sorry, boys, but
Wow.
if this doesn't get your channel banned, I don't know what will.
Damn,
Talking
well,
about this stuff is not kosher these days, my friend.
Let's
We've
see,
talked
No pun
about
intended.
Jewish people. We've talked about all this other stuff.
Southern Poverty Law Center, Dirt McGirt, is an absolutely subversive anti-American organization. They have offshore bank accounts. The Weather Underground are a whole lot of those people too.
I was
Does
about
the
to say.
DSA
Look,
is the DSA involved? Go ahead, Dark.
And the very fact that these organizations remain unengaged shows you that the guard dogs that normally would engage systems like this are asleep at the wheel. The
They're
Clintons
not asleep at the wheel.
The Clintons pardoned the Susan Rosenberg, who's connected with the Thousand Currents. George Soros, who
they caught her with guns
our
and
former,
explosives.
I know, 400 pounds of
Yep.
explosives. She went to jail for 58 years, and Bill Clinton pardoned her at the end of his term. She's an
and
operative.
what
And now she's
organization is she?
BLM?
Yeah,
Black Lives Matter.
yeah.
And seems to be a lot of Jewish, upper middle class, white Americans involved in Black Lives Matter.
Sigma, let me throw this out there. And you know, because this is all psyops, in my opinion, which I have no problem talking about and going into, but I want to keep on letting everybody know this is all part of the psyops.
Shred Rizzard, the solution is to at least spread awareness so that one could be generated.
Yes. Now, the one thing that I would like to kind of get in with is, who are the people that run Hollywood? Who are the people that are in control of major corporations in the U.S. throughout the rest of the world? Who are the advisors and the the people that are doing the consultations for China, Russia, every other country in this world? Yet they are the smallest denominator in the whole world. Not all of them, but a small percentage that you might want to say are Erev Rav. Even if they're not Erev Rav, they're still going along with the status quo because they don't want, they're comfortable and they don't want to upset the balance because they're enjoying their lives and their privilege. But yet,
exactly. It all comes down to privilege, right? So, for example,
I'm trying to talk about facts, and the speculation, the overall larger picture is so difficult to go with.
I know. This is why
gun control is absolutely one of their things. The Czech Republic recently just enacted its own version of the Second Amendment, put it into its constitution. So the Czechs are going to have guns. The Hungarians are running the risk of being expelled for the EU for their positions on the LGBT thing. Stop for a second. Okay, let me finish this thought.
Go.
They're importing the black population from Africa into Europe and the United States and a lot of other places, okay? I believe they're confident that they could defeat these people in battle later on. What they will use the black population temporarily to do is to displace, demoralize, and so, for instance, the riots inside the cities destroyed the property value of a lot of businesses, especially San Francisco and different places. These people will come in and buy the property up. So they have engaged in creating this cycle of behavior to divest people of their property. This is a property grab and a power grab. And they're using these people as pawns. And they stoke the flames of their hatred. So really, if you want to see a modern analog to the Ku Klux Klan of 100 years ago, look at BLM and Antifa clicked up with the Democrats. Democrats like that congressman, the guy that's real fat. Can't think of his name.
Jerry Nadler.
Nadler. That's right. Nadler, the guy that shit himself. Anyway, Nadler sat there this summer and says he didn't even think they existed because he knows they exist. That's their modern Ku Klux Klan. They can't get a bunch of white honkies anymore to burn things in people's yards, but they absolutely can get BLM and Antifa marshaled by their commanders, these former Weather Underground terrorists that had a plan to kill 100 million Americans in the 80s. Green Beret infiltrated that organization and blew that plan out of the water. and they all went to prison, and they did put bombs in the Capitol building. And they do seem to be vertically integrated with former elected officials like Bill Clinton, who pardoned them. And now the FBI has the gall to sit here and go, a bunch of patriotic Americans who perhaps believed in this QAnon mirage a little too much went down and rioted and should be called domestic terrorists? Boy, I tell you what, if I was the Russians and the Chinese, I'd be kicking back, having myself a Cuban cigar. We just did ourselves in. This place, you're watching the death rattle of the United States in this Biden administration.
That's interesting, Sigma. I'm hearing a little bit of a different tune from you. If we go back like 6 months, when we were saying that we're headed in the direction of, irreparable damage to the country. I thought
6 months ago was a different time.
I'm letting it charge. I'm just going to turn off my mic and my camera.
Okay. All right.
I wrote papers about the Weather Underground 10 years ago. I know all about them.
Yeah, no, I'm not just specifically about Weather Underground. I know we've had conversations about them. I'm just saying it's interesting.
Can you talk about that for a little bit? By Weather Underground, is that something like a secret term, or is that the actual organization?
It's the actual organizations. Just put it into a search engine, look them up.
Right.
Bernadine Dorn, Saul Alinsky, people that were clicked up with Barack Obama. These people are subversives. They're subverting the United States from within. I believe they meet the definition of traitors.
Yeah.
And that's what they are. That's what you're dealing with. And the rest of it's a confused scrum. And you guys, the thing I don't like about Dugan, and I wish he was here to argue his point, is he was always so ready to throw Donald Trump under the bus. And I was always ready to fight him over that issue. Because, hey, look, I don't like Donald Trump's affiliations. He knew Ghislaine Maxwell's father. Donald Trump absolutely is deeply clicked up with people that will absolutely put you in the ground. He had a casino in Atlantic City. That's the mafia mecca. I mean, but that's New York. That's power. That's money power. It's a dark game. And I mean, I've seen people have a little minor knife fight over things. And the one thing I'll credit them, as nasty as they can be, they didn't resort to hiring assassins, because the guys in New York, if you go to fight over money there, the whole assassination thing is absolutely on the table. There are people that are well paid that run schools in Florida for it. Not that, but they start you off as a bodyguard. But absolutely, if you stay in, I bet you they have some the other end of the spectrum too.
Well, I think if I were to, I would never speak on his behalf, right? But I would say that he likely spoke that way about Trump just because he's a politician.
Oh, they've got this chat on the thing, and they're stumbling around, so that's really important. The Bush family. Okay, so what I know about the Bushes is they were involved in the JFK assassination. That seems readily apparent now from the declassified documents. George W. Bush was in Dallas, attached to the CIA at the time. Oswald was a CIA asset. These people did participate in killing Kennedy. I strongly believe this.
Well,
and they were rewarded with directorship of the CIA. And ultimately, in 1992, you saw the operations arm of this group that killed Kennedy versus the financial arm that came later that profited off of the initial phases of the drug war. And they were having a fight over the corpse of this place. Lyndon Baines Johnson stood down a quick reaction force for the Fifth Fleet in the Mediterranean that attempted to react to an attack on the USS Liberty. Okay? That was done by the Israelis as a false flag pretext to get us into their war with the Egyptians.
Oh, I know all about that. That was supposed to be World
That's right.
War III.
And that's a big deal. And that paradigm has persisted and will persist.
Nobody ever talks about that, though.
Somebody asked what the solution was to this problem. That is the solution, is spreading awareness over these key factors. We must buy Ben & Jerry's ice cream because they're boycotting Israel right now. But also, these people are not our friends. Look, I talked to a Jewish guy today. He had like little fucking tattoos on the back of his neck, and he's hanging out in a strange part of town I know. And I just sat there, and he's got himself what's the name of that group in the 90s? Heaven's Gate. He's got a Heaven's Gate spoof t-shirt about the cult that killed themselves. And the whole place is filled with models and entertainers, this little town out here. And he knows about applied psychology. He knows about how to brainwash people. I've seen him there for 10, 15 years. It's a fucking factory here. Looking for the next little, Pied Piper to lead the kids off into the distance and out of the village.
Yep, and that's what they want. They want the next generation, and that is exactly why. Like looking at a literal terrorist organization, Weather Underground,
organization vertically integrated with federal law enforcement and intelligence services operating within the United States, and that is a problem.
Non-governmental organizations.
Think that's your problem. You're an idiot, in my opinion. The humble opinion of this random gamer.
And then when, which one was it? Bernadette. What was her name? The chick,
Bernadine Dorn.
Bernadine Dorn. Yeah.
She was a lovely looking woman. My God, very pretty, photogenic, healthy, upper middle class.
Then Bernadine Dorn gets pardoned by Bill Clinton, and now is
no. Susan Rosenberg was pardoned by Bill Clinton. Bernadine Dorn, I think she was briefly arrested. She did participate in some bombings, but the interesting thing about the Weather Underground's bombing, they mostly blew themselves up. They were rather incompetent bomb makers. Turns out, building your own explosives, do it yourself, is quite a dangerous enterprise. They didn't actually kill very many people. We're not dealing with Ted Kaczynski here. We're dealing with upper middle class, hyper idealistic pawns, as best I could determine. I would love to know what was controlling them. I do not know. As far as I can tell, it was, it looks to be some expression of international money power, which seems to lead me back towards the people who want to be the world government. And I do find them constantly judging things. They're excellent negotiators.
This is all a power grab, because if those same individuals, like Susan Rosenberg, I confuse her and Bernadine, Susan Rosenberg, that was pardoned by Bill Clinton, that was caught with almost 500 pounds of explosives, or 400 or 500, whatever, that were literally going to commit more bombings and more acts of terror, is now holding a leadership position with BLM, and BLM is quite literally, getting sucked into the brains of the next two generations.
Realize you also have on Fox News a former CIA spokeswoman silencing Newt Gingrich from talking about George Soros.
Yeah,
telling the former Speaker of the House to shut the fuck up, basically. And he goes, so it's verboten. He's not allowed to speak about it. And everybody lines right up with them. That's Operation Mockingbird. That is the 1972 Church Commission. The intelligence service of the United States of America has once again grown too powerful. And it needs a reckoning. And I hope our legislative branch and what remains of the political class of this country is up to the task. I do not think they are. I don't expect the United States to survive this.
Nuclear devices. That's what Joe Biden said. We need F-15s and nuclear devices. I'll put it like this. This is why I keep on saying this is all a fucking psyops. It doesn't matter how much information we have out there. The fact that there's so much multimedia, they have their own influencer in their hand, their own brainwashing device in their own hand, all throughout the U.S., whether you're a conservative, libertarian, right-wing, left-wing, doesn't matter. They have their own propaganda to be able to push towards you to keep the status quo. I look at, and this is, kind of off the subject, but on the subject. Bill Cosby got released out of prison because he agreed to snitch on a lady that somehow had something to do with.
It's not the interpretation I have of that. Well, I've talked about his case with some people, and from what I understood, there was a major conflict of interest in the judge in his case and a prosecutor that denied him his Fifth Amendment rights by first extracting testimony that was later used to put him in jail. So his civil rights were violated.
No,
that's why he's out.
It's hard to hear without my headphones in. I have my charger in. But no, the reason he got released was because he signed a plea deal to rat out somebody else, which happened to be a lady who
I've heard nothing of that.
Helped bring women to other people, this and that. Yet there's nothing being talked about her or anything else. There's no indictment.
Please, could some of you guys link me an article on that? I have absolutely no idea about this stuff.
I don't have any articles. I did look it up. I don't have anything on hand. The other thing is, it's weird. Any officer-involved shooting throughout the United States of America, within 30 days, you know who the officer is, and you know who the person they shot were. Why is it we still don't know the name of the officer who shot the lady trying to climb?
Because that was a psychological operation, sir. No one was shot on the 6th of January.
Exactly. Everything that we see and we're aware of is all.
But the essential thing, hey, Red Wings, do you have that BitChute link that explains this? I know I've saved it offline, but that should be given to the audience so that they all know what that is, because that's an especially important item that should be preserved. Because when you try to tell people that there was a fake shooting in Washington, D.C. on the 6th of January, that's a hell of a thing to say without having to pony up any type of rationale. And there's a particularly excellent documentary on that shooting.
Yeah, I know what you're referencing. However,
hold on,
I'm gonna have to pull it up. Yeah, you're gonna have to pull it up.
All right, real quick. It can't be screen shared on here because that'll just nail us. We can share the link. They won't let you share it on the chat. I think I have to share it on the chat.
Well, have somebody in the chat put it down there. I don't know.
They can. I think I'm the only one that can post links. Put it in the. Do you see on the right side where it says private chat? It'll say comments and then private chat. If you put it in the private chat, I can grab it and post it.
Got it. Here, that's the link in question. Should probably be circulated. But the biggest step we're in here is identifying and fully exploring these pieces of information we're discussing. And I don't agree with people when they say it's pointless to contact your elected representatives. I watched Ted Cruz joust with that terrible ATF director we might get. I see Rand Paul being assaulted in his home and having a punctured lung, broken ribs by his neighbor, and then coming out swinging for Mr. Fauci. And I still see lots of hopeful things. I think that abandoning oneself to crippling cynicism is not constructive.
All right, I'm going to share this link, and you guys go watch it on your own time, and either come back in Discord or come back on another stream, and we will discuss. And if the stream gets canned when I do this, much like when we posted the PDF on the Austrian art students, Literally the second I hit click send, it.
Oh, it got deleted, right?
Oh, it took us off live. We're not live anymore. I'm just kidding. No, it looks like we're good.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Yeah, we always, not always. Every now and then we'll all come together and do a little stream. Well,
A
I know
stream
we're
within a
hitting,
stream.
Yes, Inception stream. I know we're hitting 2 hours. So, is there anything else you guys want to hit on before we break out of here?
Well, I think it's important, like, kind of building upon the point that Sigma was making, because, like, I've noticed a lot of people always talk about how nothing can be done and how basically everybody's a shill, basically. Whether it's Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, they all work for, the CIA. But at the end of the day, it's like the people that say that, like, what have they actually done to make the world a better place and to give information to the public that will help change things for the better, right? We could talk about how all the faults of all the leaders of our a certain political ideology. I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to trying to. It's a game of information, is what I'm trying to say, right? Because, like, the thing about it is, if you were to let your congressman know about all the things that we were talking about tonight, I think that would definitely do a lot to change the course of action.
What do you mean change the course
Might as well just link him to the fucking show and let him watch.
Yeah.
I think to this. Why not?
Oh, hold on. What do you mean link who?
Oh, just any old elected official. I think some of these discussions have been very productive.
Yeah, I mean, most people would have a really tough time believing even a percentage of the things that we talk about, which a lot of them are.
Plenty of this could be backed up.
Yep.
I wouldn't talk about it if I didn't think it would be worth discussing. I'm not here to sell bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, emotionally, they would have a tough time. Because, I mean,
cognitive dissonance is part of the path of learning. Might as well just go on ahead and put it out there. A lot of them aren't going to pick it up because we don't have any money in our hands.
Well,
maybe if you pay them enough, they'd listen. I don't know.
Why did Tucker fire a fully auto?
Tucker Carlson's a fucking godsend. I don't care what anybody says. Guy's fucking on point. He talked about the protocols, the learned elders of Zion. And hey, to the FBI's credit, they linked it on their Twitter account from their vault. So at least somebody there considers it worth discussing publicly. Yeah. And boy, you ought to see the guy named Rothschild that responded to that Twitter thread. It's quite the thing. I haven't had a Twitter since the election. I got deleted permanently, but yeah,
I couldn't imagine why.
I wasn't linking anything too naughty. I was just basically talking about the election.
That's the thing, though. Like, people can go on there and post literal porn on Twitter. Like, there are chicks going and posting like facial cum shots on Twitter, but you go and post like some factual information that people disagree with. Boom, you're toast.
Dude, on YouTube, you can, as long as it's naked yoga information, teaching people how to do yoga naked. Literally, look it up. YouTube naked yoga.
Well, hey, look,
you will find stretched out roast beef and titties and shit.
I know. And then those influencers complain when people are constantly bombarding them with pictures of their genitalia. I don't know how to fix that. But before we go too far, let's end on something strong. We talked about Antifa, BLM, their connection to a domestic terrorist organization known as Weather Underground that actually did bomb the U.S. Capitol building.
Wait, I thought they were associated with DSA, that terrorist organization.
Well,
I don't know what DSA is.
DSA is the Democratic Socialists of America, and they were the ones that
I'm
were
trying not
essentially...
to I'm trying not to confuse this too much. Like,
yeah, I mean,
broad
it's just a
strokes.
little. It's a... if you're looking at like what are those, like the spider graphs? I'm trying to think of what the real name
Got a
for it,
few.
but it's one leg off of the graph where essentially DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, were the ones that were essentially funding the people in the streets during all those months and months and months of riots.
And they were also funding people before then. And before they were the DSA, maybe they were still the DSA, they were funding, what was that name? Rosenbaum? Yeah.
Rosenberg.
Rosenberg. She was being funded by the primordial sect of the DSA at that time also. This is why I say all of this is literally psyops. It's just to be able to get a group of people together to be able to chat and discuss about what's going wrong, what are all the bad things, and how can we help our communities and be able to build and grow from there? How can we teach and educate people? It's a divide and conquer tactic. And then once these bubbles and these balloons start blowing up, or where's the camera? There it is. Blowing up and filling up with people, now they can send in their, subverts to be able to try to pull from our ranks and call us a domestic terrorist or this or that, or just try to be able to pull in people who are constitutionalists. It's the divide and conquer. None of these people that are our politicians that are truly fighting, their own cause, being paid for a cause they're fighting, this or that, really means anything, because they're all sacrificial lambs, just like we are. It's the people at the top, the ones that still don't even have the full picture, and they're told, you need to say this, you need to do this, say this, do this, say this, and everything's going to be golden. We're going to make sure we pave that path for you. End of the day, this is all warfare. This is all psychological warfare.
That's a myth.
We need to focus on ourselves and our communities. And the way we focus on ourselves is passing out information, helping out the community, is us personally, just like Sigma said, having like hot dog meetups and shit like that. I completely agree with. But at the same time, like I said, I'm afraid to do that shit because I don't want to be implemented on shit like that.
Implicated.
I have my little one. Yeah, I have my little ones, and I want to be able to make sure I'm here for them. But at the end of the day...
You're not doing anything illegal, sir.
Oh, no, you don't have to do anything illegal to become
Guess
illegal.
what? Your child's going to suffer if you don't do the small things now.
Oh,
and you're very well equipped to do it if you have a family.
And I will have to say I agree and I also disagree. And I disagree for the simple fact that I'm not asking if you have kids or anything. I got 3 of them. But where I sit is I want to be there for my child's upbringing. And my kids play outside majority of the time. They play with lizards. We go swimming with alligators. Yeah, my kids aren't on the same track.
I don't think anybody's
going
to kill you, sir, if you have hot dogs and talk to people about current events.
Yeah, no,
we're
I'm
not
saying
at that
kill
point yet.
Me.
Not even close.
I'm not saying that.
What will end up happening is we probably will get to that point if nobody starts having a productive conversation.
No, I'm not denying the productive conversation. I do that every day that I'm out and I talk to people. That's where it's at. But my issue is being at the forefront of something and then being labeled as a terrorist group or being put under indictment or injunction and having a red flag thrown at me at my house. And you know what? Florida is known for a lot of no-knock warrants. I don't know about dark. I don't know about red. I don't know
I
about
see.
anything,
So we're
Buck.
all intimidated into an action. We can have our little support group here in a nice, quiet corner of the internet where we talk to our whole audience of 50 people.
No. I'm not saying that, because this audience, I love y'all, but this is nothing. I'm saying that we do need to do outreach. We do need to reach out to people. I just don't want to do something where I post up saying, "Hey."
That's the entire point of the whole thing. Is it's not gonna get you into any trouble.
So
Well, I mean, to be fair,
no,
he did
hold
start by
on.
saying that he liked the idea.
Right,
Yeah.
but hold
Well,
on. At the same time,
guys with families that need to do it because y'all are the attractive ones, the respectable ones.
Antifa keeps on, running at you, coming at you, this and that, and you're staying away from the drama. All of a sudden, somebody throws a brick, hits somebody in the head, and I'm just using Antifa as an
Don't even
example.
worry about it. Just document it. They're not
Right,
gonna
you
do
document
anything.
it. You know what happened with the Proud Boys?
Making up excuses.
No, I'm not making up excuses. I'm setting up examples. You know what happened with the Proud Boys when they tried not fighting, and
Proud
then
Boys is a completely different organization. They don't serve
exactly,
hot dogs. They go out. They want to have a confrontation with people.
exactly. But at the same time, all you have to do, just like in Florida, domestic violence, somebody has to be arrested.
Well, if no reasonable people will occupy a middle ground, this entire situation will be continually dominated by the Patriot Front, by Antifa, by the Proud Boys, and all of these people that have failed to articulate anything worth following.
And this is why I legitimately have said on this channel multiple times, and Dark knows, I've said I go out and I talk to people. White, black,
That's
Cuban, Hispanic. I
what the hot
talk, I
dog thing
educate.
is.
No, I'm not doing hot dogs. I'm talking person to person.
You
I'm not
need to,
setting up.
I want
Sigma,
to.
what Sigma? No offense, and I'm not busting your balls. I do like you, dude. So don't think I'm being
All
rude.
right,
What
now
what
here it
have you
comes.
done? Have you set up a hot dog social?
No, I'm a
Okay.
very antisocial person. I just look
Me
at
too.
you guys that are
I'm a social
normal and
butterfly, but I hate talking to people.
well,
Well, I think we
Weird.
there you
we can
go.
agree.
Well, I guess
that-
we're not going to do anything, and I'm going to go to bed. I'll talk to y'all later.
Don't rage quit.
Oh, you didn't.
I told him not to rage quit.
I wasn't being mean to him, but it was one of those where I legitimately I go out and I actively talk to people and I help people out. I'm not going to set up a social where people can infiltrate and try to start some drama and make something happen where I get in trouble for it and
What-
be the anticipant,
Well, can't you say the same thing about a political campaign as well? It's like, well, I don't want to go to some sort of campaign rally because Antifa might show up, they might co-opt, and there might be violence, and I might get myself involved, right?
No, but with a campaign that's government funded, government back, or not government funded, government backed, but it's supported by the government. If I'm a individual person and I'm trying to set these things up, I'm not Louder with Crowder, where I have fucking 15 big ass bodyguards standing around me on college campuses. I'm literally, me personally, reaching out and talking to people in my community.
Well,
And
maybe
I'm
that's
reaching
where it
out
needs to
here.
be, is on college campuses, because the fact of the matter remains, there's a lot of steam being built up when it comes to like Turning Point USA, which I think is a complete grifter shill group. They don't do anything. Charlie Kirk sucks. Not even gonna lie. And there's a lot of, and specifically the Groyper movement and Nick Fuentes. I mean, look at what Nick Fuentes is doing, and like the more they silence him and the more they, do bad things to him, it's just the stronger he grows.
Yeah, dude. And like I was saying, I'm not knocking Sigma. I agree 100%. And I've already admitted, I'm fucking scared to go out and try to set up something like this because I know the ramifications. If something bad were to happen, I'm the organizer of the situation, of the movement, of the feeding people with hot dogs, yada, yada, yada. Hypothetically, if nobody does anything stupid and somebody catches food poisoning off of a hot dog that I made, guess what? They can sue me personally.
Right.
This is one of those things.
I
I'm
mean,
a
I
family
think-
man. I don't have that much revenue. Literally, not much at all. I'm trying to do the best I can. And what I do is I teach my children, and I also help educate the people in my community. And on here on this platform, I can't do any more than that. I don't have a backing.
I hate to say it. Sorry, go ahead, Dark.
No, go ahead. You're good.
Well, I don't want to sound condescending whatsoever. However, I think the main people that need the most focus and attention are young people, and specifically college students, right? For example, if you were to spend all this time talking to some 50-year-old man that has a family about all the topics that we were talking about, nothing would be done.
I don't talk to older people. I always talk to people younger than me for the most part. I got you.
I'm just using an example, right? But if you were to talk to some person that's going to be possibly majoring in engineering or finance or even law about these topics, they can actually take that with them and have lasting change both in their career. And if they want to run for office, well, they know things about the Clinton Foundation and how, George Bush Sr. got all of his money, specifically from, maybe Nazi Germany, the Fool Society, but we're not going to go there because it's too late.
And drug money because he was the head of the CIA. So, I mean,
Right. A lot of places. But I think that's the main focus that needs to be done is I think it should be mainly focused on college campuses, because a lot of the issues that we are talking about in regards to, political agitators, Antifa, etc. If you're to go out into a random city, you'd actually be worse off than if you're to go on a college campus, because at least on a college campus, it's more organized, if you get what I'm trying to say.
Oh, hold on. Have you seen, there's this white chick from Florida that goes on college campuses throughout Florida. It's not Liberty Doll. I can't remember.
It's Liberty Hangouts.
Is it Liberty Hangouts, the white chick?
Yeah.
Put it like this. She's paying like $5,000 every time she goes out to one of these college campuses to be able to talk to people for her security. I don't have the money for security, and they don't allow firearms on college campuses. So at the end of the day, me walking back to my vehicle, I could get brained. I could get this, that. I'm not dealing with that. I'm not trying to deal with the flack. I will talk to the youth. I will talk to people. But when it comes down to something like on a college campus, you need security. You need people there. I'm not asking for advocates, but you literally need security.
Well, I think you could do
stupid
something.
Shit happens.
You could do something. Just real quick, Raven. Sorry. There's two things that I would want to say. One is that you could do like something off of a college campus that, like, let's use the hot dog idea for an example, and then target college kids, young kids, whatever, to attract them to, that little social event. And regarding like the implications and the possible like risk and liability, there's, I think, the same level of liability with setting up a YouTube channel like this or a Discord or
it's almost none. It's almost none.
Yeah, internet, there's almost none other than what somebody can say you're inciting.
Well, that's the same. I mean, there's different types of liability, but I mean, think of, it happens all the time. Like, people create a community and then people misunderstand the purpose of that community, and then they say that it's a pack of extremists that are planning like
Right, it's the same thing with the Groypers, right? So what we're talking about here is mainly I'm looking at it from a managerial / organizational perspective, right? Okay. So if we actually want to get the whole hot dogs and hamburgers thing going, I think there's two options. Okay, the first option is you build everything from the ground up. The second option is you get with other college campus societies, possibly Turning Point USA. I mean, I hate Turning Point USA and I hate Charlie Kirk because he's a grifter. However, there's it seems like there's been a lot of change towards what we're talking about, specifically with the Groyper movement and Nick Fuentes. Light, are you aware? Like, do you know? Are you familiar with Nick Fuentes?
That name sounds
A little
familiar.
bit,
I'm
yeah.
not sure who he is. I'm
So-
bad with names. I'm good with faces. I'm sorry.
So Nick Fuentes is an individual who was at the January 6th event, and he got basically he's a social media influencer.
Was he the Buffalo Man?
No, not at all.
Okay. All right. Never mind then.
No. So he was at the event, and he's like a 20-year-old kid that got kicked out of college because they found some of his YouTube videos, and so he started his own thing. He hosts America First Live every single night, and he has thousands of followers. And what they've been doing is they've actually started to distinguish themselves from Turning Point USA. So a few minutes ago we were talking about Antifa and the Patriot Front. Those aren't even ideological. Those are more like protest groups, right? What I'm talking about here is more of like an ideological thing based upon ideas, which is what we're going for, right? We're not going for confrontation. We're going on the displaying different ideas for the public. So I think specifically Turning Point USA and other college conservative organizations would be a good starting point for giving out information that we talked about tonight.
All right. Here, Red. Let me throw this out to you. We already do enough where we're at on this channel on trying to bring new guests, bring people in the chat on the comments, and reach out to a broader audience. This is one thing that I've said before, and Dark has also agreed and also brought it up too. If there are things that you guys think that, just like Sigma, and no offense, just like you said, if you guys did this, if you guys did that, we have our own lives. We're family men. We're not,
Right.
well-to-do off of any of this. But if we had our group of people in the chat, such as you, reach out to these organizations and
that's what I'm getting at, mainly focusing on the audience.
Okay. That's exactly what I was going to bring up. We need to be able to bring the audience into the same picture. And, it's not just reliant on me and Dark. We're trying to facilitate the means to be able to give the ability to reach out to a bigger platform and other people throughout this community. And that's what we're trying to do. And also pass on good information for the individual to be self-sufficient and, independent as best as they can.
Right.
So when it comes down to these things, anytime it's bigger than that, we need the help from our guests and the people in the chat.
That's exactly what I'm going at. So, sorry, Dark, go ahead if you're going to say something.
Hey,
I was just going to say,
I'm shutting off my camera and my mic again. My phone didn't charge well enough, so
all right.
I'll be back on. I'm sorry.
You're good. So I was going to say that number one, something does need to be done. Number two, when I say something needs to be done, I'm referring to something completely legal, something that is, effective and safe and, neutral. So I don't want anyone to take me saying something needs to be done as like a negative
agitation.
thing. Yeah. I'm, don't condone any acts of violence at all or any calls to action or whatever. What I was saying is that if we were to do the hot dog thing, then the most effective way to do it would be to literally set up one in every single state, so that on a particular day there is one in every single state within the United States. If you just do one and you meet 24 people and you give away 24 hot dogs and 24 flyers, like, I'm not saying that's not effective, but I'm saying how effective
if we had a hot dog social in at least 30 out of the 50 states, that would be national newsworthy. Sorry.
Well, let me give you 1,000.
That's what I'm saying. It would get national. Sorry, real quick. It would get national attention. and it would be a peaceful, information-driven operation that, it would get a lot of attention, and it would be, sorry, go ahead, Red.
So let me give you a 1,000-foot view of the situation, how the audience and everybody here could possibly implement the effective flow of information in particular. So let's think about it this way. The vast majority of people that attend these community meetings, for example, monthly community meetings, are they the younger people, or are they the 70-year-old boomers that are retired and they have nothing better to do than possibly listen to what would be the modern day equivalent of a conspiracy theory? In fact, I would go as far as to say that I don't want to sound condescending, but when it comes to the future of the country and the way we change things for the better, people that are like, 50, 60, like people that have their lives already established aren't as important as people that are in the process of establishing their lives. So
I feel you.
Right. Because
especially like me and most people that I know that are similar, a lot of people kind of transition from like I voted for Obama in his first term to now, like looking where I am now, my values have changed quite a bit. So, getting people while they're younger is going to sound bad. Sharing information with people that are still building their lives is the most important thing to possibly wake them up early.
Right. And the thing about it is, not only will you influence their voting habits, but you also influence the way by which they create their careers and interact with the workforce and possibly run for future office as well. So back to what I was saying with a 1,000-foot view, I think we should go about it. If you were to actually want to implement this idea, you should go about it from a basically going after younger college kids and trying to influence them. In particular, going to college campuses, possibly talking to the leaders. Yeah, I know it sounds bad, right? It's but anyways, so going to college campuses and talking with political organizations there, mainly conservative ones, and setting up these meetings, because the infrastructure is already there for you to actually do something. Rather than building it up from the ground up.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all.
And not only that, the younger generation as well. Basically, my generation has been. So there's one half of it that's being raised by Instagram, TikTok, etc., and the other half has been basically raised off of places like 4chan and different, political / ideological, growth places that can possibly revolutionize the world for the better. I think.
No, I was just gonna say I agree. I think that something like this could be executed in a good, positive way. I just think going out and starting one, though I believe it would also be effective, there's a more efficient way to do it to get a better outcome and more attention. And I think that we should do that on a national level. We are hitting 2.5 hours though, so we're gonna have to cut it in a minute.
Well, I think the last thing that I want to say when it comes to this matter is mimetic warfare is our version of a psychological operation. Because think about it this way. So we constantly complain about how, the triple letter agencies, CIA, they have all the power. They have the means of creating psychological operations and all that. And we don't. That's wrong. Because think about it this way. The age of the internet has basically created the idea of mimetic warfare, the ability to subtly influence people through memes and comedy. Because comedy actually has a purpose. The purpose of comedy is not only to make people laugh, but it's also to move the Overton window.
Yeah.
So where we can actually talk about specific topics, right? And you see this on Instagram in particular. I notice all of these, like, for example, we were talking about the USS Liberty. One of the memes that I saw on Instagram was, it was the Lavon affair. The Lavon affair was basically an Israeli false flag attempt in Egypt to try to start a war, and they killed a bunch of people. So I went on Instagram and I saw a meme for the Levon affair, and it basically said Donald Trump had an affair with a woman named Levon. If you don't believe me, look up the Levon affair. It's things like that can have the greatest influence on people.
Hey, so one thing I would like to add to that is why, and I also told Dark about this. Maybe me, Dark, and CRS were on the phone call together, but I said, why don't we do like a GoFundMe, or literally try to start up a political group or a social movement and try to get that George Soros money and use it in the right way. Hey, guess what? If you fund this organization and you think it's about gun control, blah blah blah, you can't ask for your money back, motherfucker. When we start putting out the facts, and now we have money to be able to put out flyers and banners and put out ads.
Yeah, I mean, hey, at the end of the day, we do a little trolling.
A little.
How
Just a
about
little.
we all try to get funding from these organizations and these people that are literally funding to turn us into communists, because they're going to be at the head of the table, and we're all going to be the ones producing the food for that table. So
And
how
then
about we
begging for
try to
their
get the money
crumbs.
from them the best way we can, and see if we can try to lobby, if we can email, say, hey, we have this group and we agree with you, and we just need $2 million worth of funding, and we'll back you up, we'll support you. Oh shit, out of 100 people, hopefully at least one person gets it. Now we have $1 million plus that we can actually spend on passing out good information to help people turn what they're doing into something against them, make them burn their money to be able to light themselves on fire. Let's
So
find
I
a
will
way to get
say,
into there.
that we came up with an idea that is pretty epic. And after we came up with the idea, hadn't taken action on it yet, we found that it was actually done by somebody else recently too, and it was very effective. Initially, it kind of made me think like, okay, then maybe we shouldn't do it if someone else has already done it. But then after I thought about it, all it did was literally give us a test case of like exactly what we were looking at. It was a trial. It was just by somebody else. So
They're throwing out so much money, they don't give a fuck who they throw it out to.
yeah.
So they're all getting it from the government anyways. It's just a different form of redistribution, I guess. In the form of trolling. We do a little trolling.
We do a little trolling.
How about we troll with their money for a greater good?
How about we...
The problem is money in the first place.
Exactly.
No. How about we use all their money to buy blackjack, hookers, and cocaine?
Okay, I'm down.
All right.
And we can have that at the hot dog event. Everybody, come to the hot dog stand, and we got hookers and cocaine. That'll be our claim to fame.
You know how many people would be on our side immediately?
We'd have a lot of people there, and a few black Suburbans.
Possibly.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. So let's end on words of wisdom.
Hey, Dark. Just reminder: if we do this, we have to let everybody know when there's no liquor, cocaine, or hookers there. We point out those black Suburbans, and we get everybody riled up, and they go after the black Suburbans.
Okay. No, we just laugh at them from afar. You just have to laugh at them.
Bring your eggs and
the hookers
your
and the
tar and
cocaine
feathers.
are in that black Suburban right there.
No backsies.
Well, definitely the cocaine, that's for sure.
Yeah. And there was a few people in chat that were saying like, why don't you do something? Why don't you do something? Like we're literally coming together to talk about doing something.
I have no income. Dark has enough income to be able to provide for his family, pay his bills, and get some McFlurries from time to time. Other than that, literally, we're not making money. Dark is the monetary holder of the channel, and he's not even making any money. I'm not making any money off this shit. All this is literally is to be able to pass on information whenever we do make or yeah, whenever we do make money, it's going to go towards certain things for this channel specifically to try to be able to promote it, whether it's on YouTube or if we go to another platform, whatever it may be.
Yeah, but what money? All it is 3 guys with cell phones. I'm just kidding. Sorry. I had to
Two
throw
guys
it out
with
there.
cell phones.
Yeah. Well, we have 3 people in here now. That's why I said.
Yeah, now it's 3, but he's a guest.
Yeah, sorry. I know, but I mean, the reality is that like something. I just bit my tongue. Something like the hot dog event could be self-funded. You can have. There's a bunch of ways you could do it. You could have like asking yourself the question: who would be interested in purchasing hot dogs? And a lot
to
of people
fund the
are
George
saying,
Floyd fund, and then red pill him about BLM.
Oh my God, that would be great. You get all these freaking BLM people in for a hot dog social, and then you start dropping facts to them, and you're
yeah.
like pulling out like the PowerPoint presentation.
Meth cures narcolepsy. The least we can do is take Dark out to the strip club.
Meth cures narcolepsy. Oh my God, that was beautiful.
Hot dogs are gross. I know the reason it's called the hot dog idea is because one day we were on a stream and Sigma came up with the hot dog idea. That's it. We don't actually have to serve hot dogs, right? Like, anyway, it's okay. We're
Right, and I've
talking
been
about
fighting
coming
the
together
hot
and
dog
finding something to
idea,
do.
but it could have been multiple different scenarios, not about hot dogs, but we need to find a way to be able to outreach.
It could be the filet mignon idea. It could be
Yeah,
the
that
hamburgers
that would be
idea.
me once every 4 months by myself.
Yeah.
I can't afford filet mignon.
Yeah. All
There's
right.
a lot of cows around my area. I can go kill one. I'll get my.
Apparently, Zalpov said 2 pounds of binary will take out a cow. It'll probably quarter it for you too. Fancy grilled cheeses. That's a good idea. All right, let's end on words of knowledge. And it could be anything. It could be something you want to say. It could be a movie quote for all I freaking care. It's really all about memes now, isn't it? Yes, it is, and that's why we mentioned the memetic warfare. So yeah. All right. So anything you want to end on to give the people some light, some fear, some darkness, some anything, knowledge, wisdom.
Well, to those that know, the world is a comedy. But to those that are blissfully unaware, it's a tragedy.
Wasn't that Shakespeare?
The Joker is basically the same as Shakespeare, yes. He's like the Shakespeare of the 21st century.
Yeah, I was like, that sounds so familiar. I think Shakespeare did say something.
No, that is. I don't think that was from Shakespeare. I think that is
It's a quote from The Dark Knight.
Saying from one of the philosophers. I forget who it is, but no, I agree.
Soren Kierkegaard.
And if Sigma's still listening, dude, I wasn't busting your balls. Literally, you're saying, hey, you guys need to do this. Well, I'm throwing out my fears. And like I said, I'm legitimately afraid of doing certain things, advertising like big events because stupid shit can happen. Then I get in trouble. I don't have bail money, shit like that. So I'm not somebody throwing Molotovs that will get out the same day. I will be there waiting until my my court date.
You
So
fear doing something because you fear incarceration. Because the system that we are in has systemat. I'm just kidding.
No,
no, I can also say no. I fear that if they try to take my liberties away, that I may resist, and I will do the equivalent of throwing tea in the harbor, which would be even worse for me. Which nobody wants, and at the same time, I want a peaceful resolution. I don't want to be an asshole. This is the same reason I don't want to put conflict in front of me, because I can articulate, I can talk, I can walk away from a situation. But the minute that I keep on somebody coming after me, the situation turns into self preservation, self defense. And I don't want to be in a situation like that. I'm not one of those people who deal well. I do deal very well, but I don't deal well when I've exhausted every last effort to be able to get away and calm down the situation. I don't do well when it goes on from there. I have self-preservation issues.
All right. Is that your words of wisdom?
Self-preservation issues is my word of wisdom.
That's what the stream could be called. All right. Let's wrap it up. Red Wings. Was that your thing? Your
Well,
quote?
yeah,
It was
and
a good
also,
quote.
well, also, yeah, I mean, it plays into modern society beautifully. But in regards to what we're actually talking about, I think that there's a quote, and it's slavery is like the worst option, but death is not. I don't know.
True that.
I like that.
Chuck Norris says, change your oil regularly and fill up your gas tank before any national holiday. I think that's an excellent
But
knowledge.
isn't every day a national holiday? 2 days ago was National Donut Day.
Yeah, I know. It's getting a little crazy. Here's what I'll say. I'll end on this. Beware of programming, because it is being given to you. It's been given to you. This is hundreds of years old. But right now, specifically, you are capable of awareness, and you are capable of seeing shit for what it truly is. So be on the lookout for everything that we mentioned. It all ties back to, I mean, you can look for shit in your kid's school. You can look for shit at your job. You can look for shit. Be careful what you take into your mind, your brain, your heart, and whatever you take in, it lives in there. It stays with you. So just be aware that social engineering is going on. And even though we constantly say that, people our age, like dark light deprogramming, people our age, we say people our age, white military age males that are armed are, the most dangerous. And you know what? Our government knows that. And they know that it would be a fight like hell. And what hit me the most was when I realized that they don't want you. They don't want you dark. They want your next generation and your next generation, and so on and so on. So be very aware of the social programming and reprogramming of your children and yourself, and never fall victim to being a normie. You're too smart. You are programmed differently.
Dark, why do you think Steve Jobs and all these tech billionaires, they don't allow their kids to have a cell phone or a tablet? Why is that? It's
Because
kind
they're
of weird, isn't
broke.
it?
I'm just kidding.
It destroys their dopamine receptors and makes them more easily susceptible to propaganda.
Exactly. It's for manipulation, and they know they don't want their kids being manipulated because they found their little lifeboat to get the hell away from the rest of society.
Dude, and I hear, like, yesterday I was talking to another parent, and they were like, "Oh, I'm guilty of giving my kid the tablet every now and then." And most kids are literally raised on YouTube. Like YouTube raises children nowadays. Okay, that's how sad this is.
All of my neighbors, all their kids, I never see them outside. You see my kids running around my backyard, finding bugs and lizards and snakes, spiders, you name it.
Because they're inside being raised on YouTube.
Exactly. And in all honesty, they have tablets, and those tablets are beautiful when we're driving 3-4 hours somewhere and you want them to be occupied. That I think that's okay. But whenever it's at home, fucking have your kids occupied outside, learning and discovering things, coming and asking you to identify what this is, what that's not, whatever it may be, or them or you going out there and you showing them, you digging a hole, you playing in the dirt with them, you trying to make a little lean-to, showing them little survival techniques that they turned into their own little fort outside. Teach your kid fucking build a fort, a survival shelter, and it's a fort for a child. And guess what? They will always remember, and they will always know how to do this. If you did this with pillows and cushions and chairs as a kid, in a blanket, in your living room, your room, whatever, well, shit, you do the same thing, but outside. And guess what? Now the kids learned another useful technique on surviving.
Yep, true that.
I'm a big fan about teaching the damn kids.
You got to, man, especially those types of,
right,
tricks of the trade.
And guess what? I would love to go on kids' YouTube and have a YouTube channel where I'm not cursing. That so sucks. But I could be able to teach kids how to be able to make their own forts outside. Guess what? YouTube's not going to allow me on there.
Yeah, and do other like survival, like for example, in the 1950s, there were little handbooks that were sold to 10-year-old, young boys about how to do certain things, survival techniques, how to collect water, how to, start a fire, things of that nature.
Dude, they used to have firearm.
Before it became all rapey.
They used to have firearm safety in high school.
Yeah.
That's how crazy this is.
I was one of the last years on ROTC that got to shoot a 22 long rifle, and then they phased that out during the year I was in, and then we had to shoot pellet guns.
That's whack. Really quickly, just to finish my thought, when I was speaking to this other parent, and they were talking about, I give my child the tablet every now and then. I'm guilty of it. They were like, but it's okay, because it's YouTube Kids. And I was like, man,
YouTube.
You have no idea.
We could have an entire show about Pizzagate and its relationship to YouTube Kids. It's horrible.
That may have been it.
Hey, Dark and Red, do you remember what was it, a year or 2 years ago, maybe 3, where on YouTube Kids, the kids were watching content, and you would be like, oh, they're watching SpongeBob, and then 10 minutes later, somebody comes over the YouTube, which is already pre-recorded, saying, don't say anything to your mom or dad or I'll kill you, and saying shit
you
that.
You told me something about that. I've never heard of that. I mean, I believe it, sadly.
Dude, that was legit. I watched like 1 or 2 videos in person, not on YouTube or anything, in person, with these fucking videos saying crazy shit like, oh, go grab your dad's lighter and try to light the curtains, and crazy shit, dude.
What?
Talking about trying to play with your pee and your vajayjay. I'm
That's
not even
crazy.
joking, and saying, if you say anything to your mom and dad, I'm going to hurt you or I'm going to hurt them. So it puts them in fear and they think somebody's actually talking to them.
Damn. Well,
disturbing.
Quite disturbing.
And they want that being taught in public schools.
Yeah. There's already uproars of that shit all over the place. All right, we're coming up on 3 hours, man. We're gonna have to cut it. I just want to say thank you to everybody in chat. We appreciate you guys. We managed to keep circulate around 50 people in here almost the entire time, so it seemed like you got pretty good traction. It may have been because we were almost on time tonight, because I know people kind of look for us on the schedule when notifications don't come from YouTube. But anyway, that's all my thing. Be on the lookout for social engineering. Don't let laziness and you being satisfied stop you from being hyper vigilant in your life and your family's life and your kids' life.
Stop being comfortable and lazy. And Dark, me and you, we need to chat tomorrow for the simple fact that we need to find highlights in former videos and stuff like that, and do little YouTube 1 minute snaps.
Yep. I actually already started going through identifying stuff from our top videos. So Brandon Herrera and hold on.
I also want to be able to get the podcast on there too.
Okay.
Because there was a lot of really good info on the podcast, and we could take snippets or just rip the whole stream from the podcast and put it on the YouTube channel. You know what I mean? The more content, the better, and the more crucial points during those conversations. If we were to make 1 minute to 5 minute little videos, we can boost up the content rating and also possibly be in the favored the favored side.
Word. Cool. All right, y'all. We're out. Thank you all for sticking around. And I always say it: be safe, be dangerous. You have a responsibility to yourself to be as dangerous as you possibly can. So, all right, y'all. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all.
Peace out.
Peace.